It's like, oh my God, maybe the lover she had before me was better. I look at it this way. Who gives a shit? He ain't here anymore. Okay. I want to make the best of what we can get for you and I. You know what I mean? Like,
that's so true. It's like, wait, but I'm the one fucking you right now. So
yeah, exactly.
That
Guys think, oh, maybe the guy before me had a giant dick. Okay. But he's not here. You know what I mean? The only dick in the room right now is me. She's gonna have to deal with this. Okay. You know, it's like, relax.
Welcome to What I Love About Sex, where some incredible guests and I, Steph Kanowski, will be bringing you the tools for improving your sex life with topics such as sex issues with your partner, sexual self-confidence, premature ejaculation, sexual shame, masturbation, sharing your fetishes, orgasmic pleasure, and more. Sex is still so taboo, and I personally believe that by improving our understanding and communication skills around sex, we can enhance our own self-pleasure as well as deepening our long-term romantic relationships. So listen in, try to stay open-minded, and let's get started.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on the What I Love About Sex podcast. Today's episode is fun, informative, educational, hilarious. You'll hear stories. We will answer penis-related concerns that you've submitted to me via Instagram. There is so much value packed in this episode, which is why it's over 2 hours long, my longest episode, I'm pretty sure, ever. We actually recorded for 3 hours. I had to edit it, but it is an amazing conversation. And I have that conversation with Jeff Abraham. He's the CEO of Absorption Pharmaceuticals, which is the creator of Promescent, a line of premium sexual wellness products for individuals and couples looking to improve confidence, performance, and pleasure in every aspect of their lives. So buckle up. This is going to be a really fun one, and can't wait to hear your feedback. Enjoy.
This is the craziest story you'll ever hear. So I owned a semiconductor engineering business. I started from scratch. I was CEO, very successful.
How old are you?
Right place, right time. I started it when I was 33, when the year my son was born. I didn't want to travel anymore. And I retired at 53, 20 years later. And my next door neighbor also happened to be a urologist, my friend, and he developed Promescent. And I went to see him for my yearly physical in 2011. And he says to me, I really respect your business acumen. I know your story, grew up with nothing, had this wild success story with this company. And I started this company on the side. It's not doing as well as I do. I need your opinion. I go, what is it? He goes, I developed a treatment for PE. I go, you developed a treatment for physical education? Because I was 55 at the time, right? PE was phys ed, right? He's like, no, dumbass. He goes, premature ejaculation. I go, oh, like erectile dysfunction is ED.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, same thing. I go, oh, great. I go, does it work? He's like, yeah, it does. I said, do you have a sample? He goes, yeah. So he gives me a sample of the product. I was dating a financial analyst for Shearson Lehman at the time. I call her from the parking lot. I'm just getting ready to go, hey, you want to come over this evening? I'm thinking of making an investment. I want you to help me evaluate the investment. She's like, oh, I'd love to. So she comes over. I have a housekeeper who was also my cook. She cooked us dinner and everything. She leaves. I'm this organic dinner. After she goes, oh, let's take a look at that investment. So she thinks I'm going to come down with a pro forma, some spreadsheet, all, because she's a financial analyst, all about, So I go upstairs. I go upstairs. I come down with this bottle of Promescent. I go, here. She looks at it. She's like, you're such a pervert. I'm like, what? And she goes, I thought it was an investment. I go, no. Well, actually, I am a pervert. I'll cop to that. I admit it.
And it's an investment.
I go, but this is an investment. I go, look, it's Ron's company. She goes, oh my God, it is, because he was my neighbor and I've been dating her. She knew him. She goes, really? I go, yeah. So the next morning, Ron calls me. I know you. You tried it already, didn't you? I go, absolutely. I go, I had Carolyn come over last night. He goes, what do you think? I said, first of all, I don't think the name Promescent is right. You need to change the name. And he goes into this impassioned defense. Promescent means prolonged tumescence. Tumescence is the medical name for an erection, and he goes, wait, why would you want to change the name? I go, I like bone like a porn star better. That's he's like, what? He starts laughing, right? I said, dude, this shit is insane. I said, I felt like I was in a UFC match, because after like 30 minutes, she's tapping out, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, wait, I put all this work in, I'm finishing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, how much did you use? I said, well, it said 3 to 7 sprays. So I used 5. He goes, that's if you have severe PE. I go, well, you didn't tell me that. I just read that. He goes, no, start with 1. I go, oh, okay. And so then
I've had guys tell me that too. They're like, I used too much. I couldn't feel anything. And she was tapping out.
Yeah, exactly. If you use the right amount, and it's a meter dose spray bottle, so you get the same amount every time, which is great. Because then once you dial in what you need, you get the same amount. It's not like just squeeze it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Then you know exactly.
Yeah.
What
So
works
you know exactly
for
what you need. So I dialed in. I go, 1 spray is perfect. I literally can go as long as I want to. Then I have to concentrate to finish,
Mhm.
And so I invested in the company. I put $100,000 in, and I was bored. I just retired. I retired at age 53, but I didn't realize all my friends were still working. Hey, you want to go here for a weekend? They go, I'm working, you idiot. I go, oh, that's right. Hey, you want to go golfing today? They go, I have a job. I'm like, oh, okay. So I went, this is kind of boring because everyone I know is still working when you retire at 53. So he asked me to write him a business plan. I did, and it really helped the company. It was just common sense. And then after it really worked, he goes, can you write a second phase? I said, yeah. So I did. And the company really started to take off. And then they asked me to become the CEO, and I did. Then in 2013, on January 27th, Ron was murdered in a case of mistaken identity. My partner, the guy who developed the product. And it's just tragic. It was a guy that had a prostate surgery 27 years prior, decided he was going to kill the doctor that did the surgery. Got the name wrong. It was the wrong guy.
Oh my God.
And he murdered Ron. Just tragic, just insane. And so unfortunately, we lost him, but his wife and his 2 sons still own 17% of the company. So I've made it my mission to really make this successful, to reward his family, our shareholders, our employees, and the company's growing phenomenally.
Wow.
So things are going really, really well.
Wow. What a crazy story.
It's insane.
Wow.
It's absolutely insane. Now, how did you get into this biz?
I never know how to start this question, but I read the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are For Venus by John Gray. Have you heard of that?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Everyone's at least heard of it, right? It's like, it was the most popular book in the 90s besides the Bible. So I read that book, and at the end of it, it was like, hey, do you want to become a relationship coach or counselor or whatever? And at the time, I graduated college with a bachelor's in psychology. I was super into psychology. I was fitness training. I had my NASM cert. What'd you say?
Where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Montclair State University in New Jersey.
It's New Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was at this point where I was like doing fitness coaching, but I was so like stuck on intrigued by the mind and psychology, the mind. And I was like, maybe I can like create my own fitness business and like incorporate more of the mindset aspect of fitness. And I tried to do that. And I took on my own personal clients, and I was like, nah, this isn't it. And then I read that book, and I saw there was a relationship training program. So I took it. I got certified, and I started taking on clients to help them with their communication issues and help men understand like a woman's point of view, because all these guys were like, I don't get why she says this. I don't get why she does this. And I was like, holy shit, like men are such a good niche to work with, because I see all this dating advice, and there's so many women helping all these women. There's so many men helping all these women. I'm like, there's not a ton of people like just focusing on guys,
And men need it more than women.
Yeah. I mean, with all the women complaining too, I'm like, okay, why don't we go to the source then and actually help them? If they're the source of the problem, why are we not focused on like helping them directly?
How often I'm embarrassed to be a guy. I'm not kidding you. I swear to God, there are so many guys that I've tried to work with through our site, because, we offer vibrators now too. And our vibrator sales are robust, and we're doing really well.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. No, the majority of them were women buying them. And a lot of guys were of the opinion, well, if my partner desires or wants a vibrator, that's a knock on my lovemaking ability. And I've tried to do these little blogs, and I'm like, listen, you need to be creative. The objective is for your woman to have as many and as strong as climax as possible. A vibrator is in addition to you, not in place of you. Okay. Yeah. Get your ego out of the fucking way and check it at the door. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's all ego. It's
all ego. It's all ego. Your goal is to pleasure your partner. As long as you're involved in there somewhere. Okay. and you give your partner many and intense orgasms, she's going to go, I like what this guy does for me. I'm going to make sure he doesn't go anywhere. Okay. So you are literally paying it forward by giving your woman pleasure, because she's going to realize you are the source of that pleasure. And she is going to go, I don't want him going anywhere other than here. So I am going to make sure that he feels as much pleasure as he gives me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I agree.
drop your ego at the door and just worry about your partner's pleasure and not your ego. This isn't about you. It is about her. So I constantly tell men, focus on your partner's pleasure. Yours will come if she has hers. If you make it about you and you put your ego in the way, you're probably going to end up departing this relationship and going in separate directions, because she's not going to be happy. And if she's not happy, you're not going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times guys complain, oh, my wife doesn't really desire sex. And I tell people, because I'm straight up, maybe she doesn't desire it from you. Okay. Why
She
don't
desires
you take,
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you take a step back and realize maybe you've gotten into a rut or a groove and it's not that invigorating or exciting or stimulating, you know?
Because I think, like, Jeff, so many guys get stuck in the habit of doing the same exact thing. And then they think that their woman likes the same thing every single time.
Yeah.
And they get bored with it. And through research, women get bored by sex a lot more, and like a lot more than guys do. Like they need a lot more novelty and variety in the sexual relationship. And guys are kind of like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Let me just keep doing the same thing and assume she's always loving it. And women don't speak up. And, you know, it's both of our faults.
Women don't speak up because of guys' fragile egos. Oh my God, I can't tell him that I don't like that. It'll hurt his feelings. Okay. No.
So, and a lot of guys have like mean reactions when you hurt their feelings.
No, exactly.
You know, like, unintentionally.
So I've gone the opposite. And, you know, I tell people when I'm in a relationship, listen, I'm no mind reader. You can allow me to literally experiment and fumble around here for 90 days to figure out exactly what you like, or you can communicate it right off the bat and let me know. And a lot of times I'll tell a woman very early on in a relationship, I want you to masturbate for me. What? In front of you? I go, absolutely. And they'll go, oh my God. I go, listen, there's no better way for me to figure out how you like to be pleasured than watch you pleasure yourself. Because I'm going to take for granted that you're not doing things you don't like or don't feel good when you're doing it to yourself. I am going to take for granted that you were doing exactly what you like at the speed you like it and the way you like it. Okay. So you can feel self-conscious. If you need another week or two to get a little more comfortable, let me know. You know, I can take a rain check.
Yeah.
For a week,
Yeah. It's not
you know
about
what I mean?
pressuring her on the moment, but it's
But I would
great...
eventually love to watch it. It's not going to be a spectator sport the whole time. At a certain point, I'll join in. You know what I mean? But I want to have an idea of how you like to be touched. And a prime example, when I first moved here, I was dating a gal who was an executive casino host. And she had a bit of a hooded clitoris and she had trouble climaxing. And literally, it would take 40 minutes of penetration or thrusting for her to climax. It's a good thing I owned this company. I might have to take a second job to afford my Promescent, you know? And it was literally like, I need direct pressure, you know, even while we're having intercourse, feel free to massage the clit, you know what I mean? And I really, I was like, go with sandpaper to jackhammer, you know? And then after we broke up, I was dating a gal who was a nurse practitioner, I swear to God, and she would hiccup an orgasm. I'm not kidding you. And it was
every time,
every single time. I'm not kidding you. I mean, I'm exaggerating with the hiccup, but she, like in an average lovemaking session, should orgasm 5 times, 6 times, 7 times.
Wow.
Mini ones, major ones.
Yeah. But the mini hiccup, like, like, and then
but it was
that's
definite,
it, right? Like those hiccup orgasms are literally that quick and little.
Yep, absolutely. But then it would always lead to a major, massive, like volcanic one as well, you know? But she had a very sensitive clitoris. You know, you had to massage in the area, but no direct pressure. And I remember thinking to myself, how could this be the same gender? Okay, 2 people, you know, with guys, there's not that much difference. Okay, to be quite frank with you, most guys, I've never met one guy in my entire life ever that went, oh, I'm not into someone giving me oral sex. Okay. There's not a guy that I'm aware of on the planet goes, I don't like being blown. Okay. Every dude is like, it's my favorite thing in the world, or it's my second favorite thing in the world. Okay. It's in the top two, definitely.
I've heard like 2 guys who say they're not a huge fan of it, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that's why that means she wasn't great at it.
Yeah. I'm not a great
bad.
fan of it because my girlfriend had braces and ripped the skin off my penis. Okay. Well, okay. I'm not sure you're not a fan of oral sex in general. Maybe something specific there, or maybe she had fangs and, bit you or something. You know what I mean? Like
she was a vampire. Yes.
Yeah. Guys are a little easier. The plumbing is outdoors. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
I've just noticed that women have real peculiarities. And there are some women, and this is why it's important for guys to have good communication skills. There are some women that'll say to you, if you attempt to go down, I'm just not comfortable. And I'm just open. Then I don't say it in the moment but later I'll go, is it because it doesn't feel good? Or do you have apprehension? Maybe it doesn't taste good. Maybe the smell. And they'll go, oh my God, no one ever asked me that. I go, they go, actually, I do have. And they go, thank you for asking. I go, you can take for granted if for some reason there was a foul odor or it didn't taste well, you'd see me going north again really quickly. You know what I mean? Like, and then we would go to a gynecologist and work it on it. You know what I mean? But I go, and they go, I'm just accustomed to being so sensitive. And, I don't ever want to say anything, hurt anyone's feelings. I go, if we are close enough to be intimate, we should be able to talk to one another. We should be able to explore. We should be able to tell people what we like, what we don't like.
We should be able to talk more about sex than we actually have it.
Absolutely.
And people don't.
They're all, it's like, oh my God, maybe the lover she had before me was better. I look at it this way. Who gives a shit? He ain't here anymore. Okay. I want to make the best of what we can get for you and I. You know what I mean? Like,
that's so true. It's like, wait, but I'm the one fucking you right now. So
yeah, exactly.
Guys
think, maybe the guy before me had a giant dick. Okay. But he's not here. You know what I mean? The only dick in the room right now is me. She's going to have to deal with this. Okay. It's like, relax. Okay.
That's true.
And a woman might be going, oh my God, maybe I have an odor. Well, there's only one way to find out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Don't discourage him from going down. Guys,
how would you react to an odor? Because I have had a few guys say, I don't want to go down on her because of the odor, but I'm not sure how to react to it. I'm curious what you've done in the past if you came to that.
It's only happened to me twice. And both times I quickly rearranged and went out of the area. And then later on, like before the next time we're intimate, I'd say, listen, all women's body chemistries are different, and the taste. And I said, there is a bit of an odor. Maybe, have you ever been told that? Have you ever addressed it? There's ways, you know what I mean? And one person took it totally like, oh my God, I was unaware of that. Let me go see. And, she went to a gynecologist and I don't know what they did, but it took care of it. The other one freaked out.
Wow.
But if someone's that uptight, I don't want to be in a relationship with them anyhow,
Exactly.
It was a fact. And I would want someone to tell me.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to be left in the dark and have someone go, oh my God, your semen tastes like, apple cider vinegar. You know what I mean? It's like, let me find out why,
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many guys afraid to address things like that. Like even the comment you mentioned before of a woman being like, oh, I'm not so comfortable with that down there. Like I have married guys reaching out to me all the time, telling me she's just not comfortable when I go down on her. And I'll ask, do you know why? And they're like, no, I'm not sure. Like,
well, fucking ask, you dumbass. Yeah. She doesn't want me to go down there. I mean, if you lived in a house and someone goes, don't open that door, wouldn't you go, why? What's in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's that whole sex thing. If it has to do with
the
sex,
whole taboo. Yeah.
It's taboo.
It's uncomfortable. It's awkward. It's taboo.
Yeah. But once you break down, nothing's awkward. Once you get past that point, to me, it's life. I don't care. I'm asking the question. If you're uncomfortable with it, that's your issue, not mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what makes it awkward. The discomfort of never having had these conversations.
Once you do, though, you're like, I'm uncomfortable if we don't have the conversation. If we aren't to that level. Because to me, oral sex, especially if you're in a 69 position, is probably the most intimate you can be with another person.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, think about that. Even when you're having intercourse, it's not as personal as having your face buried in someone's genitals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is the height of intimacy. Okay. It really and truly is.
Yeah. And being vulnerable enough to have your own, genitals in their face. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just the way that I live my life now. But I wasn't like that at 20 or 25 or 30. It evolves, you get more comfortable with who you
What
are.
allowed that to evolve for you? Like, when did you realize, wow, communication, within around sex is so important?
My degree is in communication. I've always been a great communicator in every aspect. That was probably the last area I had to overcome because I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, little coal mining community, and it was backward ass and racist and homophobic. And so sex was like, I'm Tarzan, you Jane, lay down. You know what I mean? Like, and then I moved to California when I was 24, 25 and got into a little bit more of an alternative lifestyle. You know what I mean? Where you could be more expressive,
more open,
more open. And then I just had a couple relationships that I knew my partner was kind of walled off and they disintegrated. And I went, I never really got to know that person. And I never got to unlock the potential that might have existed between she and I, because I felt like they were just hesitant to really reveal who they truly were. And I was about
sexually
30,
or just in all aspects of life?
Mainly sexually, but in other aspects as well. They were afraid to be vulnerable. And I got to a point where I thought, I need to take the lead, because women have been taught, don't be, because it's, as a woman, even in this country in 2022, it's not easy. You have to be sexual for your partner, but not too sexual. Where'd you learn that? You know what I mean? Oh my God. Guys want their woman to be sexual, but not too sexual. Guys still want to have this feeling like I'm the more experienced of the two. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
No,
until they meet me.
Yeah.
Who are you?
That's exactly. I love.
And they're like, fuck, stay away.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If a woman turns my ass out, I'm like, great. I don't know where she learned that, but I'm glad she did, because I'm the beneficiary of it. Who gives a shit where you learned it?
Yeah.
But it happened in my mid 30s, and I feel sorry for a lot of women because they've been brought up, especially at my age. I'm 65 now, but back then when I was 37, that was 30 years ago. Things have evolved. You were just coming into the planet. So things have really evolved from there. So a lot of women were still in that you're not allowed to be sexual thing. And I thought, it's incumbent upon me, because I don't have the same shackles on myself as they do. I weren't brought up with these primitive puritanical views. So it's incumbent upon me to let them know that it's okay to be sexual. It's incumbent upon me to let them know that not only am I comfortable, I want them to express their desires, their fantasies, their fetishes. I'll help you achieve them. Like, I own a Sybian machine, and everyone's like, wait,
what is that?
You know what a Sybian machine is?
I might, but I'm not entirely sure.
They became popular on the Howard Stern show. It's like a $3,000 vibrator. It's like a saddle that a woman.
Oh, yes. Okay. That's what I thought it was, but I didn't want to say that.
My son was like traumatized. He was in college. He's like, my 52-year-old dad owns a Sybian machine, because he was home when they delivered it.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. He's like, I'll never be the same, And every once in a while, one of his friends will send him one of the podcasts, and he's like, Dad, he goes, I need therapy. I have to sit here and listen to my 62-year-old dad or 63-year-old dad wax poetics on his sex life. He's like, oh, I want to barf. And he laughs because he gets a kick out of it.
Yeah. Oh, I bet he does.
I said, well, I don't send this shit to you. I wouldn't want to hear about my dad. You know what I mean? But
don't listen or watch.
Yeah. He goes, my friends do, because I'm like literally a cartoon character to his friends. They're like, I wish that was my dad. He's cool. You know what I mean? The guy gets high, he parties, he's totally open,
Yeah.
Because a lot of their dads have been married 30 years. They're boring. They're angry. Their life is over, that kind of thing. And
probably bitter about sex.
Exactly.
A lot of guys.
Oh, sadly. Every guy that's been married for 30 years, my wife doesn't want to have sex. Oh my God. And it's like,
what's your opinion? I want to know your opinion on that. Like, for guys who haven't had sex, their wife doesn't want sex for the last, 20 to 30 years with them. What do you immediately blame that on? Like, what do you think is the reason for the majority of the time?
I think that familiarity breeds contempt. I think they say it for a reason. It does. Think about this. What's your favorite food? If someone said to you, you have to have a last meal, you're going to be executed tonight, what would you request?
Joe's Pizza, New York City.
What if you ate Joe's Pizza every day for 20 years and someone said to you in 20 years from now, what do you want? You go, any fucking thing but Joe's Pizza. I'm sick of fucking Joe's Pizza. I've eaten it every day for 20 years. I already know the taste, the smell, the texture. It nauseates me. Okay. There's a reason. Familiarity breeds contempt. So just like you said before, you got to change it up. You really and truly need to change it up.
Why do you think the most men are okay with that, but most women are turning them down?
Well, because most men are so self-absorbed, they think they're the best lover in the world. They think that the way they've been doing it is always the best, and they don't change it up. They get into a routine. So consequently, their partner is like, oh, I got to play to his ego again. Oh my God, I got to fake an orgasm again. Let me tell you something. Women have a harder time orgasming than men. It's a fact.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There are very few guys that can't orgasm. There's a lot of guys that orgasm too quickly. But even if a guy has premature ejaculation, he still orgasms. Hello, he still gets there. His partner's like, excuse me, I'm over here, sailor. You know what I mean? Like, what about me? And so many guys, when you're in a new relationship and everything's new and you're in love and it's fresh, oh my God, I'm focusing on my partner's pleasure. I got to make sure my partner. After 20 years, you're like, if you didn't get it, that's your problem. Just go ahead and, flick the bean and I'm going to sleep. You know what I mean? And the woman's like, well, I'll just do that. I didn't have to have you fucking grinding on me for 20 years, you sweaty, smelly, hairy piece of shit. You know what I mean? So that's why you get into this syndrome where guys like, oh, I want to have sex all the time. My wife doesn't. She's still having sex. It's just not with you in the room, And you may say, well, I don't want to be replaced by a vibrator, but trust me, somewhere in the luggage she keeps stored in the back, there's 4 vibrators in there. When you're at work, she's in there, grinding away, that kind of a thing. So I think that familiarity breeds contempt. I think they say it for a reason, because it does. You constantly have to change things up. And you have to really focus on your partner's pleasure. And men don't do that.
I feel like most men think they're doing that.
They think they are.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of assumptions where men are constantly looking for how she's like, they'll take something, like if she smiles for a moment and then be like, oh yeah, I'm the man. And then it goes back to making all about them. Because for guys to leave comments on some of and this isn't the majority of comments, but you'll have the guy that's like, oh yeah, I make her come 10 times in a row and she couldn't come more from me. Like that's all ego. That's not about her. That's
never about her.
I could just tell that he's a horrible lover. I can just, by reading that comment, I know he sucks in bed, and I know that she's masturbating thinking of another guy because he sucks in bed. Like, I just know it.
You know it. You absolutely know it. You can tell by the way a person phrases something, by how they describe it. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah. And what I try to tell guys to do is like focus on her, but also know what your body wants and know what like really turns you on. Because if everything's obsessing over her and you don't even do what feels good to you, you may, start feeling delayed ejaculation. You may have your own insecurities will build up because all the pressure is about her reaction.
Not only that, you won't be enjoying it. How often are you going to initiate sex if you don't feel like you got to incorporate your pleasure as well as theirs? But what I always tell guys, put one in the bank, especially guys that suffer from premature ejaculation. They go, what do you mean put one in the bank?
I heard this on your other podcast.
Yeah. I go, make sure that you give your partner one orgasm if you suffer from premature ejaculation, because then you're already getting out of your own head going, oh my God, can I last? You go, oh, she's already had one. No, I'd like to give her 2, 3, or maybe 4. But that idea of, oh my God, before you even start, you're like, I hope I last long, is gone. Therefore, part of the syndrome that leads to repeated premature ejaculation is alleviated, because you don't have that feeling of, oh my God, can I last long enough to give this person an orgasm? Very few women will say, no, thanks. I already had one. I don't need another one. Orgasms are like shoes. You can't have too many pairs. Okay. At a certain point, the closet, we'll go downstairs and use that closet. Okay. We can find more room. Yeah. And so if guys do suffer from PE, give her an orgasm, whether it's digitally, whether it's orally, no matter how, prior to starting, just so you lose that feeling of, oh my God, she's not going to have an orgasm.
I feel like most guys, that's a really good piece of advice. And I feel like most guys would right away be like, all right, well, I'm going to come before she comes. But not enough guys think to try oral, like always go for oral first, because the majority of women only get off orally anyway. 75% of women.
79% of women don't even orgasm vaginally. So don't measure it. If she doesn't have a vaginal intercourse during, orgasm during intercourse, it's a failure. Okay. No, it's not. As a matter of fact, if you give her one orally that takes the pressure off, she's more likely to have one vaginally later on because
she's well lubricated and
she's well lubricated and already feeling pleasure. Okay. And a lot of times women have actually told me that sometimes they feel pressure to orgasm because that their partner will think that he's a failure. And here we go back, the male ego again. You know what I mean? Like, what, you didn't come? Oh, let me get back on top. And a lot of times women are like, oh God, I know this is going to happen through this. You know what I mean? But the guy's like, and it's like, okay, now we're going from pleasure to pain. Okay. And I have no chance of coming now, Yeah. So
especially when there's no oral sex, because that's what creates like the most lubrication to be penetrated comfortably. And when guys let the ego get in the way, they forget that and they don't think about these things. They don't ask questions and they don't ask her how she's feeling or if she is fully aroused or if she needs to be wetter, if we need lube, God forbid you bring up lube. Like so many guys are so intimidated by lube, and we can't be intimidated by lube. Lube is great and everyone benefits from it. Even those of us who do get wet quickly. I actually love the Promescent lube, by the way. I really think it's a great one.
The organic aloe vera.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Absolute
that's my favorite. Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. So I run this company, so I'm very well aware of the physiological changes and, all the different products. Our VitaFLUX for women actually helps women lubricate, believe it or not. One of the things when a woman turns in her late 30s, early 40s, and she starts the menopause cycle, the hormone levels drop because there is a layer, an epithelial layer that covers all the veins and arteries in our body. And when you're young, it's very supple. What it does allows the good things to enter and keeps the bad stuff out. That layer hardens as we age. So what it does, it keeps good stuff out as well as bad stuff. Still keeps the bad stuff out, but then it keeps hormones and vitamins and minerals from absorbing. VitaFLUX softens the epithelial layer to allow for better hormone absorption. So women who become dry because of lack of hormone absorption, VitaFLUX will help them regain natural lubrication again, which is great. So I know this, and I'm dating a gal who was in her late 40s. This was a year and a half ago. And I knew that we had to use a lot of lube because she had a lot of vaginal dryness. Now, I know that she just had gone through menopause. I know from running this company and dealing with urologists all day what the syndrome is, what's causing it. And I found myself when I first reached down, we're in bed and I touch her and she's dry, going, oh my God, she's not turned on. Even though I know that she's going, and I'm like, oh my God, it's such ingrained in us.
Yeah.
To think that. I know better. And my first thought was, oh my God, she's not turned on. Then I literally almost laughed to myself. I'm like, hey, dumbass, you know better than that. Fucking roll over and get the lube, okay? It's not a sign of anything other than she just went through menopause, and that's
she's a human.
She's human. I'm like, wow.
I felt the same way. I was dating this guy who had ED, and there were a few experiences back to back where he was struggling. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, you're not sexy to him. Like he's not turned on by you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, I am. I was like fighting myself in my head as I'm trying to like talk to him. It was so funny.
You're like, I'm a relationship coach. I know better than to be.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm a sexologist. Like I get this. I understand that.
But
this
I
can
went
happen
through
and
the same thing. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? I go, I know better. And that visceral, like, oh my God, she's not into it. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh no. Look at her body language. She's into it. Don't allow a dry vagina. But the funny part was, this was when we first started introducing VitaFLUX for women. She started taking it and it totally restored her ability to lubricate.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, did she feel lubricated like just on a daily basis? Like she was more lubricated, or was it like
more lubricated on a daily basis? But when it came to being turned on, then she was much more lubricated because She went through that, and her epithelial layer, her hormone levels improved. Even her endocrinologist said, man, your hormone levels better. And she goes, it's because I'm absorbing the stuff. And she's like, what? She goes, it's the epithelial. She goes, what are you, a doctor? She goes, no, I date a guy that owns this company and he has this product. And she took a bottle of women's VitaFLUX to the doctor. It's a female doctor. It's her OBGYN or whatever it's called, the gynecologist. And the lady called me and goes, where did you get the idea for this? I go, I wish I could say it was mine. I go, it's a doctor of sexuality at Baylor University. He developed this. And he didn't, he knew this was good, but he didn't know how to commercialize it. And he's on our board of advisors. So he came to me, said, hey, do you think you could sell this product? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I believe that we can have success with that product.
Yeah.
And it's a $2 million a year product right now, a year and a half into this. It took off immediately.
Wow.
We didn't do anything except put it on our website and explain it. Never advertise. We're just now getting ready. It's going to take off. That product is going to go insane. It works for men and women.
Which product is your favorite? Is it the supplement?
For me, it's a supplement because of my age, and I've never had a problem with PE. So the PE spray is a world beat. It's the best thing on the market, hands down, but it doesn't benefit me a whole lot. You know what I mean? Because I already last 20 minutes. Okay. No one's looking at me and go, hey, I need another 20 minutes of you grinding on me. Okay. It's like, okay, I'm done. Get off. Okay. Like, so it doesn't do a whole lot for me, so, but it did when I was dating the one gal that had the issue, you know what I mean? Okay. But so for me, the VitaFLUX is my favorite, and I love the organic aloe vera lube. But if you ask me from the CEO of this company, what my favorite product is, it would be the delay spray for this reason. We get emails from people that are literally, they're in tears. You totally changed my life. I had become celibate. I was tired of disappointing women. I almost didn't order. I'm like, oh, I've been through this so many times. Oh my God, this is a wonder. You know what I mean? And, we're recommended by 2,000 urologists. 2,000 urologists in North America.
In the US.
Promescent by name. And we're very proud of that. We work very heavily. We have clinical studies on our products. So we work very heavily in the medical area.
Yeah, I'm proud to promote the product. I really am. I've heard such great stories from clients and guys. Like
every single product we have is as good, if not better, than everything else in that category. And people ask me, how many more products do you think you'll introduce over the next 3 to 4 years? I go, somewhere between 0 and 30. They're like, what? Don't you have a goal? I go, no, here's our goal. We keep our eyes open, ears to the ground. If we think there's a category that we need to be in, then we work on developing something that is as good as, if not superior to everything else in that line. If we can do that, then we'll add that product. If we can't, we won't. If I never find another product that I think is superior, then we'll never add another product. If we add one a month that meet the criteria, our goal in adding new products isn't how many we're going to add. It's how many that fit our mantra, how many that fit our vision. Because one of the things that makes this company successful is every time we introduce a new product, all we do is throw it on the site and it immediately takes off. And I remember the first product we added after we had the delay spray was lubes. And a lot of people, oh, we need to get a lube on here. Okay, great. So we put some lubes on it. They took off immediately. So I remember sending out emails, oh, what gave you the confidence to buy a lube, Well, if it's on this site, we know it's top notch and you guys stand behind it 100%. Yes. So we added lubes and we added condoms, which, some people are like, hey, I want condoms. Okay, great. And then we added the VitaFLUX. I go, well, this is a supplement. This might be more difficult because it's a totally new area. It's not like a lotion or a lube or a gel. We added VitaFLUX. It freaking took off immediately. So I sent out an email to the first 100 people that bought VitaFLUX. What gave you the confidence to buy VitaFLUX? It's like the same person wrote every email with a slight variation. It's on this site. We know it's top notch. We know you'll stand behind it. I'm like, great. So last year, I said, we're adding vibrators. We need them. We can tell guys during that 7 to 10 minutes you're waiting for the Promescent to kick in, use your vibrator on your partner. Great marketing tool.
Yeah.
So some of the employees here were, I don't know that's a medical device. It's categorized differently. I said, fucking put it on the site. And they were dragging their feet. So finally, one day I sent out an email to the entire company. I said, listen, you limp dicks. Okay. That fucking directive I told you to put the vibrators on the site was 60 days ago. Do I got to do this shit myself, or are we going to get this done? You got 30 days or I'll do this shit myself. And I go, if I got to do it myself with everything else I have to do, everyone's going to feel my wrath, right? 30 days later, we introduced our vibrators. They took off immediately.
What's your most popular vibrator?
The cock ring.
Yeah.
That comes under our category of vibrators, but cock ring, number one. Then we have this, it's called the Chorus. It's a couples vibrator. Stimulates him and her, same time.
How's it different than a cock ring vibrator?
It's, I'd have to show you. It's
okay. It's a look at the website.
It's a lot more complex. We do really, really well with our vibrators, really well. But part of it is because we've done these blogs about vibrators and we've tried to educate people. We've tried to break down barriers. What percentage of your listeners are male versus female?
Well, based on my Instagram, which is where I primarily am, it's like 95% men.
That's what I was going to say. Because I always notice when we get referrals that are they men or are they women? And 95 or higher of our percentage of people who come buy on our site from you are men. Yeah.
It's almost all men.
Yeah.
I wonder if there are any women. I'd be surprised if there are any.
I'll
women.
have to go back and look. I haven't noticed any, but I was like, man. We did a lot with Sex with Emily. Emily Morris is a good personal friend.
Oh, she's cool. I like her.
Yeah, she's totally cool. And we had probably 85% of hers were women, but it's growing.
Oh.
The men's side of her business is growing now. The more men are listening to her now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I could see her being more of a female audience.
Yeah, no, I noticed right away. I'm maniacal. I really want to know when people buy from us, first-time buyers, how do they find us? One of the things I noticed, your customers have a lot of confidence in you. Like a lot of people that we work with, someone will come and they buy a trial size of male delay spray. A large percentage of people who listen to you come and buy a large bottle instead of a trial size right away. That shows me that whoever that listener is has a lot of faith in whoever the host is.
Oh, I love that.
If somebody comes and they're buying a large bottle right away, that shows that they have faith in that person, and that person is promoting.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Yeah. And I have faith in the product. Yeah.
Yeah. We get down in the weeds. We literally know, okay, this person, the average first-time buyer coming from them generates $23.97 in first-time order. This person, 42. You know what I mean? There's
that's why you're so successful. You're focusing on the actual people and the data. And
people ask me, you know more about this segment than anyone. How? I go, I listen to my customers. Plus, everyone else, we have a different business model. We still do 40% of our business directly through our own website. Everyone else, you know what they do? They put it on Target. They put it in Walmart. They put it on Amazon. They just advertise and go buy it, go buy it, go buy it. They don't know who's buying their product. They don't know their satisfaction level. They don't know how much people buy, what their repeat order. They have none of that. We have all of that.
Wow.
I can show you people that have bought from us 37 times over the last 6 years, every other month, like clockwork, boom, 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 all the way down. That has a lot of value. When we introduce new products, we don't have to go, we got to go drive new people's site. We send out an email. We have email of 267,000 people who have bought Promescent over the last 7 years. So when we introduce a new product, I get a bulk email ready and we send it out to 267,000. New in the Promescent line of products, blah, 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 female arousal. By the way, our female arousal gel rocks.
Oh, yeah, I have tried it.
It works. And I tell people,
I will leave it at that.
It's not going to turn someone who's non-orgasmic wildly orgasmic, but it enhances the sensation.
Yeah.
That warming, that emollient, you know what I mean?
Once you're started, it's a really good.
It's a really good feeling.
Feeds your orgasm.
People don't realize this, but it actually works for men too. But there's enough shit out there for men. We don't need promoting it for men. But it increases blood flow. That warming sensation increases blood flow.
Wow. So guys could put that on their dick and then.
Oh yeah. They will literally have a higher degree of blood flow to their penis.
Ah,
But there's enough shit out there for guys. Okay. And I want women to feel like this is our product,
yeah,
And do you know who Two Wild Orchids are? It's a sex podcast.
It sounds familiar, but
They're
I can't
hilarious.
picture it.
So they've been real proponents. So I've done their show, I think 3 times. So second time I did it, I go on. It's Lanny and Cindy, I think are 2 names. And Lanny's sitting there, and it's a podcast, but you can see the videos there too.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, guess what I'm wearing right now? I'm like, a blue shirt and cream colored blazer. She goes, no. I go, well, that's all I can see because they were at a desk. She goes, you know what I'm wearing right now? And she's with a salty, sexual voice. I go, what? She goes, Promescent's arousal gel. I'm like, what? And she goes, let me tell you something. She goes,
This is on the show?
This is on the show. She goes, I figured out that why wait till the end of the day? She goes, in the morning after showering, before, I leave, she goes, I hit myself a little dab. She goes, I just feel warm and sensual. She goes, at lunch, I go in, hit another dab. She goes, by the time I come home, the end of the day, she goes, my man is there and I feel like I've had 8 hours of foreplay. And I'm like,
Wow, what a good idea.
Oh my God. She goes, it really turns me on. I just like feeling sensual and feeling excited. And I started laughing and I'm like, listen, that would never work with a guy. She goes, why? I go, if a guy sat there and started getting hard on, he would go in the bathroom and jerk off right away.
Jerk off immediately.
She started laughing. And then they told me, like, over the next 2 weeks after the podcast aired, they had like 40 people send him an email, like dying laughing. They go, that guy's so fucking honest. You know what I mean? They go, that's true. If a guy's sitting there and he's going, I'm getting a hard on, he's like, I'm going to go take care of this. I want that feeling. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Go, but
I think what a lot of guys don't understand is like, for a lot of women, the best part of sex is the foreplay. It's like the lead up to the penetration. That's the best part because that's what,
exactly.
Yeah.
The actual penetration is just getting rid of that.
Yeah. It's like the release of all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the build up, make sure that is as enjoyable as possible. Yeah. I always tell guys, and I really feel like I need to start like a podcast or something to instruct guys and go, listen, leave your ego at the door. I tell guys, listen, if you have a heavy date that night, or even if you're living, you're going to be intimate that night, send a little text to your woman at 4:00. I'm really looking forward to tonight. You know what I mean? Can't wait to see, then an hour and a half later, I'm on my way home. Can't wait to see my sexy woman. You know what I mean? I go, you don't know how that will pay dividends for you. Because that woman wants to feel desired. Everybody, for that matter, wants to feel desired. Everybody wants to feel like their partner is into them. And don't wait until you get there.
Don't wait until you're hard right in front of her and you're like, oh, sexy. Then it's not genuine. It's not. That's not sexy. Yeah.
It's really genuine. 4:00 in the afternoon. I'm really looking forward to tonight. I'm really looking forward to seeing you. On my way home, thinking about you. Can't keep my hands off myself. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Then the woman's like, oh man, he really desires me.
Yeah. And it's slowly building her up and warming her up.
Exactly. And guys, for whatever reason, they don't start thinking about it until the woman's laying there naked in bed. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, now here I come with my sexy talk, please. Please.
Why do you think guys hold back so much from sexy talk? Like, is it just they don't know what to say? They don't think to say it? Why do you think the majority of guys don't talk like that?
I think it's because they feel like they don't want to be sensitive, that it's not masculine. I think a lot of guys get caught up in, that's what women do. Guys don't do that. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And you should too. It'd be a great idea for you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love sexy talk. I love dirty talk, but in the subtle ways, like, cause that's the hottest. Like you just fit it in.
To me, if, you're in a situation and someone is over the top, I'm like, it's not genuine. You know what I mean? Just like you, I love it when there's an aura of authenticity about it. And it's genuine. It is literally coming from an actual desire,
Mm-hmm.
not like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to say.
Mm-hmm. So I get laid. I
Yeah.
think that's why a lot of women get so turned off and why they say no to sex. It's not that they don't want sex, it's that they feel like a walking vagina and they feel like they're just used for
the
sex.
only time you pay attention to me, the only time you're nice to me is when you have a heart on.
Or the only time you talk sexy to me is when you just want to fuck. Yeah.
That's exactly. You go, oh, you're feeling an erection. I better talk sexy so I can put my erection in your vagina.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as soon as I'm done, we're done.
Yeah. And then I'm not going to pay attention to you or show you affection anymore until I'm horny again.
Until I'm horny again. I always tell guys, the best thing you can do is right when you're done having sex, make a woman feel really sexy. Make a woman feel desired. Make a woman feel like that wasn't the end. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This
is the beginning of the next time.
This is the beginning. My next thing I'm going to tell you is think of it. This is starting the cycle over again. This is repriming the pump. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I tell guys all the time, I'm like, pay attention to the afterglow phase, right? Like, what do you do immediately after sex? Do you just get up and walk away and shower? Like, what do you do after she blows you? Do you say, oh, it took you long enough? Or do you say, you looked so fucking hot when you were sucking me? Like, how are you interacting? Like, what are you doing after she's actually giving you what you wanted? You know, are you complimenting or are you ignoring? Because it makes a huge difference. Compliment. Yeah.
Because then she's going to go, wow, not only did I enjoy doing that, but he really enjoyed what I did.
Yeah.
And then that makes me want to do it again.
Exactly. Like I did a blowjob podcast episode and I was like, here's how you get more blowjobs. And it was the most listened to episode I've ever put out.
What did I tell you earlier? I've never met a guy who goes, I don't like being blown. Okay. There are some guys that go like it more than others, but I mean, to me, for most guys, it combines their two favorite things ever, having sex and just laying back and doing absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? It's like,
exactly.
Can you beat this? I mean, you got a slice of pizza here? I mean, my God, I think I'd die and go to heaven, you know?
Yeah. But like
I can actually eat it while I'm having sex, you know?
You could. But the major point I was getting across in that episode is like compliment her, make her feel sexy that she's doing that. Let her associate blowjob to feeling sexy. Like, let her build a connection. Like, I feel sexy when I suck him off. Like, I feel sexy when I suck him off. Like, what can you do to make her feel sexy when she sucks you off? She's that much likely to do it. Like, it's not that hard either. Like, a little compliment goes a long way. And most guys just, I don't know what happens. It's like afterwards, they're just like, that was great. And they like walk away, like give a little more, like give her something, you know, like,
bask in the glow of what you just received and bask in the glow. Let her bask in the glow of how she just made you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Like share that feeling with her. It's probably what you just said too. Like maybe they don't feel masculine if they're like in their feeling in that moment, like expressing it. You know what I mean? I think a lot of guys just feel like the macho thing to do is just be like, all right, nice.
Yeah, babe. Yeah.
Yeah. Hot.
Yeah. No, be vulnerable. Literally say, wow, that was really awesome. And man, did you really look sexy?
Yeah. A guy I'm seeing, I gave him head recently and he was just like, afterwards was just like, oh man. And he just like had his eyes closed and was just smiling and like looking at me and then closed his eyes and smiled again. It felt so good. Like it felt so nice for him to just be like checking me out and then closing his eyes and smiling and be like, fuck. Like
when
that was like the hottest
thing. And smiling, he's literally recreating certain feelings during the actual event.
You know like you can tell he was like reliving it. And
he was
like
reliving it. Absolutely. For a guy, and I'm sure it's the same for a woman, there's that point of inevitability when you're like, oh, I'm almost there. And then where you just feel that you let go.
Yeah.
And that is the feeling, at least for me, of greatest pleasure. You know what I mean? When you just sit back and go, oh, this is happening, you know?
Yeah.
And that's probably what he was doing, was reliving that exact moment, you know, because there are times you go, I think my brain just came through my dick right there. You know what I mean? It was like, I think I just emptied my body of every organ. I think that you're going to be laying there. Like, you know, when you pop a balloon, there's going to be nothing left. You know what I mean? You're just like laying there, like everything just went out of me right there. Like, that feeling. And then you gradually start coming back to reality. You're like, okay, I'm still breathing. Okay. That's good. You know, everything's still functioning right now.
And I think that's a feeling that a lot of people don't fully embrace because it does take vulnerability to like sit there and just bask in the feeling, like it takes you closing your eyes and not caring what's going on around you and just being in it. And so many people are just afraid to be in it. So you lose that pleasure, and then you lose showing that pleasure to your partner, and then they don't feel as much desire to do it again. It really is all about that cycle.
A lot of people, especially men, have a real issue with vulnerability. I don't know why, but a lot of men have serious issues with showing any sort of vulnerability.
Do you blame that on, is that like, in your opinion, is that more nature or nurture? Like how they were raised or society?
I think it's nurture. I don't think anyone, because of their gender, is predisposed to not want to be vulnerable. I think it's a lot of media. I think, especially among older men, that you were born and raised that you have to be strong and not vulnerable. And, strength is the key. And you have to be steely-eyed and focused. You know what I mean? That any sign of caring or any side of his, emotions is vulnerable. Real guys don't do that. Real guys don't cry. Real guys don't feel weak. Real guys don't feel pain, that kind of a thing. No, real guys have a complete set of emotions, just like any other human being. Real men aren't afraid to cry. To me, if there's tears in my life, and early on, up until 25, 30, 35, I was in that same mold because of where I grew up. The way that I look at now, when there's tears that come out of my eyes, that just shows how much I cared for something. That shows that something meant that much to me to literally bring me to tears. It's a sign of power. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that someone or something really touched me in a way that the loss of that, or they were feeling pain or whatever, touched me to the point that it moved me to be that sad that I would cry and have emotion. So I've completely flipped that switch to showing power and to feeling power as opposed to feeling vulnerable. And I want to care for someone. I don't want to live my life to go, oh, well, I really care for someone that's vulnerable. And a lot of people, and I think it's a defense mechanism, it's reactionary. They'll be like, I'm single, I want to stay single, I don't want a relationship. No, you're rationalizing. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be desired. Everybody wants a partner. But it's not easy in this day and age to find a long-term viable partner. So the way that they rationalize it, I'm not looking for one. Oh yeah, you are. Yes, you are. Okay. The majority, 99% of people really don't want to be alone. I would rather be alone than be with the wrong person. But
you still want to
want to be with the right person. Yeah. And it's really important to continue to strive to find that right person. And too many people, and I tell this to people, settle for the wrong person. Well, it's better than being alone. No, it's not. Because then the right person might come along, but they see you with the wrong person and go, well, she's in a relationship and you're not really looking. And when you get older, now you're a lot younger, so it's different, because for me, a lot of the sand is already out of the hourglass. I have to be very precious with what's remaining. But a lot of people love the friends with benefits type situation. I don't, for this reason. I believe that when you have friends with benefits, I have a rich, full life. I run this company. I'm very busy. I spend a lot of time with my son, even though he's 33, he's getting ready to get married or engaged and married early next year and start a family. And so I'm buying a second home in Huntington Beach to be close to my son. I'll have a residence both places. Nice. I have a lot of friends and family. I golf. I ride my bike 30 miles a day. I take yoga. If I literally go, okay, I have a conjugal visit twice a week with somebody, so I can take care of my sexual desires and needs and everything. And then I run my company, I ride my bike, I do this, I do that. I have time for my family, my friends. Years go by. And you don't really have that desire to find that special someone that you truly connect with because you're having this conjugal visit twice a week. So your sexual needs are taken care of.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be a monk and stop having sex, but you really need to keep the focus on trying to find that person that fills that entire void, meaning that you have a real emotional, intellectual connection as well as a physical connection. Because I know I'm the best version of me when I'm in a serious, really solid relationship that goes beyond the surface. You know what I mean? Where you really develop a connection and a layer of intimacy that both people feel comfortable being vulnerable. Because that's a lot of people, until you really develop that bond, don't really want to be vulnerable because they're afraid that what they expose of themselves might be used against them at some later date. And unfortunately, stuff like that has happened to people. And most everyone,
some people are scarred from the trauma of that.
Oh yeah, no, I've talked to you. Oh my God. And I'm like, what? Someone did. I'm like, oh man. When I first moved here to Las Vegas, you know, at the time it was 9 years ago. So I was 56. So I'm 65 now. I was working at a place called Lifetime Fitness. And there's a buddy of mine that we became friends with. We're working out together and we were just getting done working out and we were going downstairs. They have a really nice Lifetime cafe. It's called the Life Cafe and everything downstairs.
Mm-hmm. That's where I worked as a personal trainer.
No way.
Yeah.
This was their platinum club. It was really nice. I mean, and the cafe was top notch. I mean, it's like a restaurant. Like, normally like, I would eat there if you paid me. And this shit was good. So we're going downstairs. He goes, hey, see the girl on the Stairmaster? I go, there's three of them. Which one? He goes, the one in the middle with the blue metallic thing on. I go, yeah. He goes, remind me, I want to show you something. Go downstairs. I go, okay. So we go downstairs, we order something. We're sitting there and he goes, hey, he takes his phone. He shows me it's a phone. It's a picture of her laying there naked on the bed. And I'm like, what? He goes, oh, I used to go out with her. And I'm like, dude, okay. Between you and I'm sure you're proud of that. But what you just did right there is why women don't trust guys. He's like, what? I said, you used to go out with her. You guys were intimate. Okay. This isn't some stranger I'm never going to see. Okay. This is someone I know and I see in Lifetime Fitness. Okay. That is really an invasion of her privacy by showing naked. I don't think she sent it to you and goes, show this to anyone else who works out at Lifetime. I think in the context, he's like, what are you, some kind of nerd? I go, no, I'll be honest with you. I go, I've known a lot of women that shared stuff like that in confidence and it was shared. And I know that from personal experience, they were scarred. Some people were traumatized. It got around to their employees, friends and that kind of stuff. I go, if you want to look at that, pleasure yourself to it, whatever, great, do it. But I don't need to see something like, I can go watch porn. It's on every fucking channel on the internet. Okay. And he's like, he got really offended. Like, I don't need you to lecture me. I go, no, you showed it to me. I'm just telling you how I feel. Yeah. That is somebody's intimate pictures they sent you for your eyes only. Okay.
Wow.
And you can take
Good
it
for you. Thank you for being one of those guys that does that. Seriously.
Yeah. It's just the right thing to do. Okay. It was like, I mean, that's someone that I saw literally 3-4 times a week working out. That's an invasion of her privacy. It really is. And I just felt like, I'm going to tell you how I feel. I didn't ask you, hey, you got any naked pictures of women that work out here? You know what I mean? Like, he was like, remind me, I want to show you. I'm like, what? And then it was like, whoa. And I truly felt like that was wrong. Yeah. And I've had people tell me before that scarred me, we were dating and we happened to take these pictures. And next thing you know, after we broke up, some of my coworkers had seen him and I was like, oh my God. And we as men need to be cognizant of that. We need to help women develop trust in men in general. We need women to not feel vulnerable if you feel sexy and you're sharing things to go, oh my God, where's that going to end up? Is it going to be on some revenge porn site? You know what I mean? And I have had the good fortune in my life of being involved with really good, high caliber women, quality women. And I've maintained good relationships with them. And I've never been in a situation where I showed someone pictures like that, because to me, if they were sent to me for a specific reason. We were in a relationship.
During a time when there was trust and there was love and connection.
But that trust doesn't go away the minute you break up. It's like, not like, okay, I can't trust you anymore. We broke up. I mean, that's ridiculous. And let's be honest, guys don't feel as vulnerable as women do. As a woman, you do run the risk of being overpowered by some guy. Oh my God, I saw you, I desire you. There's not very many women. I'm 6 feet and 200 pounds and in pretty good shape. I've never really gone, oh, I hope that woman doesn't take me. You know what I mean? Like there is a physical aspect of it too, that women are going to be intimidated more because guys are bigger genetically and stronger. They just are by nature. They're generally 2x the size of most women. Okay. So there's a feeling of physical vulnerability for a woman as well as emotional vulnerability. So that's why we as men have to be extra careful to go that extra mile.
Yeah. I think especially when it comes to like sticking on this topic of trust, I went on a date with someone and he didn't fully understand the concept of no. And I don't know, I found myself afterwards questioning, I wasn't assertive enough. And like, I should have been more assertive. And we didn't end up having sex, but it got to the point where I was saying, no, okay, stop, get off me. No, get off me, stop. And when a woman is uncomfortable because of that, just that natural threat of a guy being bigger and stronger and on top of you.
There's a certain point you go, if he says I'm doing it, I can't stop him.
Exactly. So like your mind goes in this, as a woman, your mind goes in this weird place where it's like, all right, well, don't make him more mad, but also try to get out of the situation.
It's delicate balance.
Yeah. And it's hard because my mind thinking of that went to like expressing myself more in this meek way than in my head. Like I wanted to be assertive, but it came out like, please stop, because I was scared and I didn't want to make him mad. And I was just frightened and nervous.
But then you might go, if I'm too meek, he might say she really didn't demand that I stop. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You've seen that in rape trials,
Yeah. So I was like, how the fuck do I get out of this? And I literally, I took jujitsu last year for a short amount of time. And I don't know where this came from because I don't remember practicing this, but it was a series of movements that I did to get out of his physical grasp. And it was just like natural. Like my body just took over to get the fuck out because he wasn't stopping. And then I got myself out of the situation, but I was questioning myself for weeks after that happened. Like, was that my fault? Like I put myself in that situation. I didn't say no assertively. Why wasn't he understanding that it was not okay? Like why, like so many questions came up and I was like, but I said no. I feel like if I say no, he should immediately get off. Like, why did he not see that was a problem? And he asked me out like a few times after. So I'm like, obviously he didn't think that was a problem. Like, what, is that more my fault or is that his fault? Like it's
his fault, but there's still a lot of guys that think unless you kick him in the balls, that you're saying no just to protect your virtue, that you want to do it, but you just have to pretend like he's going to take you rather.
That's the thing. I think there's so many. Yeah, there's so many.
That exists. That absolutely exists. Let me ask you this question, because I've run into this because of the nature of what you do. Everyone Google searches you before you go out. Everyone. I swear to God, they do. It's just the nature of the society we live in right now. I've been in situations before where I go out with someone, they think I'm like hypersexual, you know what I mean? Because it's nature what I do. And I have to have this talk. I go, listen, okay. The president of the United States is known as the most powerful man in the world. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean he is literally the most powerful man in the world. He can't do the most bench presses. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that we're leveling expectations here. Okay. I wasn't a porn star before I took over Promescent. I actually ran a semiconductor engineering business. I'm actually quite normal. Now, I do have a few tricks up my sleeve because having done this for a period of time, I have access to a lot of different products. You know what I mean? So I'm fairly creative, but let's just make sure we understand that I'm a normal guy. You know what I mean?
Let's start at square one.
Let's just start at square one. Let's make sure that you didn't see me on a bunch of podcasts and you didn't like see this, and this. And you're expecting Johnny Sins to walk through the door naked. You know what I mean?
Love Johnny Sins.
He actually is a friend of mine, believe it or not. He lives here in Vegas. He's from Pittsburgh, where I'm from. He's a big proponent of our product.
He's my favorite porn star.
He's the best. You're not going to believe this, okay? He is the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He my mold of what I thought porn stars were. We went to True Foods one time. And you ever been to True Foods? My favorite restaurant.
Yeah.
I love True Foods. So we're True Foods in downtown Summerlin. It was Russ, myself, Ryan, and Johnny Sins. And he's a porn star. The guy's got an 11-inch crank, right? You figure he's like all out there. So we're sitting there talking about business, and he's like, "Oh, we better be careful. We're in the middle here, and most people aren't in this business." You know what I mean? He's so considerate and so kind. You know what I mean? And everything else. And you're like,
is he like quiet?
He's quiet. You know what I mean? I thought, like, okay, if you're a porn star with an 11-inch dick that's the circumference of a beer can, you probably walk around with your genitals on the outside of your clothes. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to pay for meals. You go, hey, how about this? You know what I mean? Like, it was like,
here's my payment.
Yeah, he's like such a class act. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that's awesome.
Totally blew my mind. Nice guy. And that's the first time I ever met a porn star. I just thought they were like all out there. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, you'd never know. Like if you saw him in a restaurant, whatever, you go, oh, he's probably a software manager, like,
yeah.
Because it have his clothes on. You know what I mean? Like, if he was naked, you
go,
that guy's not a software manager. Yeah. If he's a software manager, he missed his calling. He should be in porn,
Yeah. I wish I need to get a porn star on the podcast. That would be fun.
You want me to check if he'll come on?
Oh my God. Can you? That
Absolutely.
would be awesome.
Are you kidding
That would
me?
be so cool. Yeah.
That's my boy.
Oh my God. Johnny Sins on here.
I love him. Absolutely love him.
That would be so interesting. Yeah.
No, he's very open,
I wonder if all porn stars are open talking about it, or if they just want to like keep it, like
some keep it, because I've met a few others now. He's very articulate, very well thought. He's quality. He's a really good dude.
Cool. What's your take on porn? Because there's so many guys, reaching out to me with like their porn addictions, and like, is it bad that I'm always watching porn, or like I'm trying to stop porn?
Here's my thing. I think if you're mature and you're comfortable in your sexuality, porn is great. Mm-hmm. I believe that porn among young people is very destructive and very negative. I know people
meaning.
Yeah. Young people that are just experienced sex for the first time, 14, 15, 16, whatever age they're having it now. I know when I lost my virginity, I was 15 years old, and I lost my virginity to a 21-year-old waitress at a country club I worked at. I was 15 and I was a busboy. Somehow she took this fascination with me, and I was like, yeah, that works. Let's do it. And sure. I think I lasted a grand total of 17 seconds, but I thought I was like the best lover that ever lived. I think I let out a Tarzan yell. You know what I mean? It was like, hey bitch, how was that? You know what I mean? Like, and if I had been watching porn prior to that moment, and I thought the average penis was 11 inches long, the circumference of a beer can, that most men lasted 45 minutes and jumped up, ran across the room, and shot the woman directly between the eyes from 20 feet away with dead accuracy, I would have been a ball of anxiety and probably had a heart attack in the middle of it. Okay. But because I had never experienced seeing anyone else having sex and watching porn, I thought I was a great lover. It was like, hey, it was pretty good. It felt good to me. I hope she, whatever. So I think that it's really negative that now most people watch porn before having sex. Mm-hmm. And a lot of women think the idea of an orgasm is like Elizabeth Berkley in Showgirls. Remember that when she has the sex scene with Kyle MacLachlan? You too young to remember Showgirls?
No, I'm too young.
Okay. She has this orgasm. They're having sex in a pool, and she literally flops around like a dolphin out of the water, like spasming, all over. So I think we're creating unrealistic expectations that if you watch porn, real people don't look like porn stars. Okay. The average man doesn't have an 11-inch penis. The average man doesn't have the circumference of a beer can. The average man doesn't thrust for 45 minutes and then run across the room and shoot a gallon of cum and hit a woman in the forehead with it. Okay?
And the average woman doesn't want that.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you watch porn and you think that most women literally in the middle of intercourse rolls over, sticks her butt in the air and goes, I love anal sex. You know what I mean? It's like, boom, and then in real life, it's like, oh no, you know what I mean? It's like, wait, I watched the porno. That never happens when I'm watching porn.
You just stretch me out for a month. Then we'll,
exactly. start getting these little things, calipers that expand me, and then I'll be maybe ready to think about it for 12 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
But in porn, it's like, come on in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it creates unrealistic expectations. And I think that can be damaging. And I know that a lot of people are porn addicts because I've seen the stats on the visits to Pornhub and, all these different sites. I was like, is that millions or billions? That's like billion. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, it's insane. And I think it can be addicting. And I think a lot of people, if they start masturbating to porn and they start liking it, then their relationship is going to suffer. I think it's a healthy thing to maybe watch porn with your partner once in a while. Maybe if you're traveling or, your partner is, has an illness or whatever, you're not going to be intimate, but it can't start getting in the way of.
You can't replace your partner.
Can't replace your partner. And I think that's what we're running the risk of. My wife is tired. I think I'll just go in here and rub one out, you know what I mean? And watch whatever. And then
even if she's always telling me no, let me just rub one out. Like, find out why she's telling you no, talk to her.
Talk to her, find out why. So she'll be saying yes, instead of going, you get into this routine. Because if you start rubbing one out and you don't ask her, then she's never going to say, whatever. So I think it can lead to some bad habits.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you entirely because I'm not anti-porn, and some people get mad when I say that I'm like pro-porn, but you have to be very aware. Like, as long as there's self-awareness involved, porn could be a great thing, but
trust
if there's
me,
not,
if you could go through my browsing history right now, you would go, if I would say I'm anti-porn, a lightning bolt would come through the ceiling and strike me dead right now. Okay. Because I tell people I'm doing some research for my work. Oh, I wonder who's advertising on that site right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I do like porn, but I'm at an age where it's not going to intimidate me. You know what I mean? And it's not going to warp what my expectation of my own sexual escapades will be like.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it could promote like new ideas, but also, most of it is the same. Like, after a while, you just realize they're doing all the same things with the same intensity.
Isn't it the craziest thing? Yeah. Even porn becomes repetitive, and it's like, if you really think about it, there's only a certain amount of things you can do sexually. You have to use that wide range and go through them. But just like everything, there's only a certain amount of positions that you can experiment with. I mean, read the Kama Sutra. You know what I mean? There's not an infinite amount. There's a wide variety, and you should experiment with each one to find out which ones are best for you. But you will eventually run out of positions. That's why you have to get creative in the way you communicate, in where you do it, how you do it, what time you do it.
The questions you ask, like the things you say during, the noises you make, like,
One of the things I've always enjoyed are non-traditional times to have sex. Like, out of the ordinary, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what I mean? Like, because everyone's okay, we'll have morning sex, sometimes we're ready for bed, just like in the middle of the afternoon for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
it's exciting.
This happened to me. Yeah. Last year, I was dating a gal who had a young son, and not too young. He was like 10. And I was in the pool swimming, and he went upstairs and he was taking a nap. And I was in the pool swimming, and I just came out of the pool, and the gal I was dating, his mom, must have been pretty comfortable. He was pretty well asleep. And she just walked over. I mean, my backyard faces a golf course. It goes right down. The strip is down there. You know what I mean? And she just pulled off her bathing suit and just jumped me right on this raft, like right on the side. And of course, I wasn't saying no. You know what I mean? And it was that heightened sensitivity where outside my neighbors might peek around the corner. You know what I mean? There were people down on the golf course. For God's sakes, he could have come walking downstairs. So I was kind of keep my eye on the stairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
that was a really good experience. That was a memorable experience. It was the heightened thing. It came out of nowhere. It wasn't what I was expecting. You know what I mean? And it was not the natural place, not the natural timing. And there was that element of, we could be seen very easily right here.
Yeah.
And
Oh, does that turn you on or does that make you nervous? That makes me more nervous.
Oh no, it turns me on. No,
I
absolutely.
feel like most people it turns them on, but I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on which one of my neighbors. Okay. I have two really diverse sets of neighbors. One's totally cool. And the other is like a fucking nerd. Okay. And one time, well, they actually
call
moved.
the cops on you.
Yeah. My nerd, well, they wouldn't call the cops. I don't think they would, but I mean,
my crazy sex neighbors going at it again.
Yeah. I was actually in the pool with the gal that I was dating one time and his wife saw it. And, I was at the health club where I work out. It's a part of this place. I live in a really nice area. They have this really exclusive health club. It's part of the thing. So I was in there and he comes up to me. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, what? He goes, you were in a pool with that 40-year-old the other day. I'm like, oh yeah. I go, actually, it was a jacuzzi. He goes, oh, whatever. And he goes, my wife happened to look out the window. And I'm like, whoops. I go, sorry. He goes, oh, he goes, you know what she said to me? He goes, and I go, what? He goes, you know, she calls me Jeffrey. She goes, I really like Jeffrey. He's such a nice guy. He's a good father. He's a great neighbor, but he needs to grow up. And the guy's like, what? And she goes, that's just so juvenile. Number one, he needs to date women his own age. Okay. At the time I was 63, you know, he's 63. He's parading around with these women 20 years younger than him is ridiculous. It's just absurd. Number two, you know, he'd better have more respect for his neighbors. And he looks at me and he goes, I had to agree with her. Oh, yes, you're right. You know, and he goes, you know what I thought? And I go, what? He goes, I thought I just want to be you for one fucking night and not be me. He goes, we have sex 4 times a year. It's in a missionary position. You know what I mean? And he goes, our kids are grown. He goes, it's just monotonous and miserable. And he goes, you always seem happy. You don't give a shit. You enjoy your life. You know what I mean? And he goes, and I am miserable. He goes, and you know the worst part? If I would have disagreed with her, if I would have said, he's enjoying his life.
He would have got sex 3 times that year.
He said, she would have held that against me. She would have had an attitude. Yeah. She would have punished me and we would have less sex, not more sex. He goes, so I had to agree and it violated every principle I believe in. And I started laughing. And I just thought to myself, I am so glad I'm not him. I am so fucking glad I am not him.
How do guys get stuck in that situation? Like that type of relationship where they just feel like, oh, she's going to hold it against me and then I won't get it. Like, is that mostly, would you say, an insecurity? Like, what would you?
It's an insecurity,
being able to speak up for themselves or communicate.
I truly believe that if you allow it to get to that point, you have 50% of the blame. If you have not communicated and you allow someone to have that kind of an attitude, you're 50% of the blame.
Yeah.
Okay?
I feel like a lot of guys think it's all her. Like,
no, it isn't. That's obviously gone on for 20 years. That doesn't develop at a flick of a switch. You didn't have a great relationship for 20 years and suddenly that happened. Okay. Yeah. That happened over time. You didn't assert your rights. You became meek. You allowed her to walk all over you. Now don't complain that she's walking all over you. You precipitated it. You literally allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of my friends my age that are in their 50s and 60s that have been married 30 years. They just laugh. They're like, oh man. And I go, listen, the grass is always greener. You know, I would love to have a committed relationship I'm going to spend the rest of my life with someone, especially now, because I figure by the time I get tired of them, I'll have Alzheimer's. I'll be 85. You know what I mean? I'll think I'm with someone new every day. So by the time I hit that 20-year mark,
you'll still be traveling, inventing new products.
Exactly. That's your wife, you idiot. But when I see some of these people, almost every friend of mine that's been married 20 or more years, I ask them, would you do it again? And of course, if they're in front of their wife, they'll go, absolutely. If I ask them they're alone, they'll go, are you freaking kidding me? Oh my God, I'd get divorced, but it's so painful. It would be so expensive and it's a pain. I'll just live with it. I had one guy tell me, one day I'll die and it'll all be over with. That scared the living shit out of me. I was like, what? He was looking forward to death to get out of his marriage. I'm like, oh my God. But that just shows you that people get into these habits and these routines. Keep it fresh, communicate. But the biggest thing is, if you get to that point, end it. If you literally are to the point where you go, eventually I'll die and I'll get this over with, you better literally do one of two things. End it or put your head in the oven and turn the gas off and get it over with right there. Okay. Because that is
No
not
way to live.
yeah, it's no way to live.
Wow. Yeah. You gotta be, it's hard because like, I don't know, like I'm not in that situation where I've been with someone, there's kids and there's like all this stuff in the picture. But at the end of the day, if you're not happy and you're not setting a good example for those kids because you're not happy, what are you really doing?
You think the like kids don't know that you have a miserable marriage?
Yeah.
You think the kids aren't going, I'm never getting married. That's misery. They feel like they're two Jills.
Exactly. Like it's actually ruining them than it is helping them. But I could see why so many people feel like, oh, I got to stay for these reasons. But it's more of a cop out than anything. It's like
a cop out,
making an excuse.
If you're not happy, get divorced. It's better for everyone concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Or leave her. I agree.
Yeah.
I could talk to you all day, Jeff. I'm just realizing the time. I'm like, shit, I had all these penis questions too, and I didn't get to them.
Let's go.
Are you good for more time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, cool.
I feel like I'm just talking to a friend. I don't feel like I'm doing a podcast. I feel like we're just having fun.
I forgot we were doing a podcast. I was waiting to ask these questions. Okay, so I asked my audience if they had any penis related challenge questions that they wanted to address on this show. They don't know I'm talking to you. So I took the questions that I felt were most in line with what you research based on Promescent and whatnot.
Fire away. You can ask anything.
All right. There were over 100. So I took like top 20. So yeah, we'll pick from these. So this is a pretty basic one, but I think it's the best one to start with. Just so you could talk a little bit more about the delay spray quick. How to stop premature ejaculation. It's so distressing and it's ruining my sex life.
You need to address that. Not only is it ruining your sex life, it's ruining her sex life. Like I said earlier, at least you're ejaculating, albeit early, you know what I mean? But at least you're orgasming. The best thing you can do, like I said before, is to give her an orgasm prior to initiating sex. Use something. Now, if you're talking about something non-clinical, Promescent is the best option, hands down. That's why there's 2,000 urologists that recommend us. There's a lot of delay sprays on the market. Each one outside of Promescent has the same characteristics. They numb the hell out of you. They transfer to your partner. They numb her as well. We have a unique eutectic formula that changes the crystalline structure of lidocaine. So it absorbs, it goes beneath the skin. So you feel much more surface sensitivity, and it also doesn't transfer to your partner. So you would try that first. If you still have severe PE after trying Promescent, then you need to go to a urologist or a sex therapist, and they can prescribe SSRIs. SSRIs, to people who aren't associated with medicine, are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. One step further, they're the depression drugs, Paxil, Prozac. They will allow you to last longer. Unfortunately, they cause loss of libido, dry mouth, nausea, suicidal thoughts. There's a lot of harsh side effects. So you want to first try to put out a candle with a squirt gun rather than a fire hose. Okay. So I would never go directly to SSRIs without trying less invasive methods first. So I would suggest focus on giving your partner an orgasm before starting intercourse to take the anxiety level down. Try some Promescent delay spray to give you that added confidence and that additional desensitizing effect so that you won't have as quick of a trigger. But if after doing those things, it is still an issue, then you need to seek professional help. You need to go to a urologist or a therapist. Mm-hmm. That is it is the most common sexual dysfunction among couples, without a doubt, is premature ejaculation.
Yep. Yeah, that was a great answer. I think that what I've seen that worked really well with my clients with the product is they'll use the product, and then I tell them in between, like, try to take a break from the product so that the product helps you gain confidence. Absolutely. But you also don't fully rely and tell yourself, I need this product, otherwise I can't.
Without this product, I can't function.
Yeah, we don't want that either. But
we would eventually like you to wean yourself off. And people go, it's bad for your business model. I go, no, it's good to help people eventually not need it. We have some people that use our product occasionally. Like, one thing that people don't understand is if you haven't had sex for a while, you'll have a quicker trigger because you haven't had a release in a while, and that builds up.
So the first partner, usually for a lot of guys, it's the first partner.
Absolutely. If you're with a new partner, and you feel a lot more anxiety. There's a lot more buildup because it's new. And so a lot of guys will say, wow, it's a new partner. You know, I'm going to make sure I don't blow early because this might be the only time I'm with this partner if I don't have a good experience. So there's some people that use it occasionally, not each and every time. There are some people that literally say, I normally last 6 to 8 minutes, and that's generally enough to get my partner off. But it's Friday night, the kids are away at camp. I want to have this marathon session. So there are a lot of people that use it sporadically. They don't use it every single time. It depends on the situation, the mood, who they're with, that type of stuff. I would never advocate use Promescent every single time you're intimate. And if you use it initially every single time, then try to experiment with weaning yourself to a lower level or off of it so you develop the confidence and you get a better feel for the ejaculatory response and you can delay it.
Good. I love that. I love that it's your product and you still stand by that. That's cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. So next one, I have a childish, not big enough feeling. So it's kind of like they beat themselves up for being like, I'm not big enough. Like, and this is more about like the size of the dick, but I'm wondering what your thoughts would be to guys who just feel childish about like complaining about their size.
You know, there are men that have 3-inch, 4-inch penises that have satisfactory relationships. There are men with 11-inch penises that partners will tell the sex was horrible. The guy thinks that all you need to do is have a giant penis and the rest takes care of themselves. Unless you have like a micro penis or no penis or, you know, a flaccid penis. If you really work on your technique and you work on really having extended foreplay, you can satisfy your partner. Now, obviously a bigger penis, if you have all those skills intact, is great as well. But you never go through life focusing on what you don't have. Go through life focusing on maximizing what you do have, whether it's your looks, whether it's your muscularity, whether it's your penis size, no matter what part of your life. Focus on maximizing what you have, because in a lot of cases, the anxiety and the disappointment is in your own head, and your partner is like, you're fine, just focus on pleasuring me. I just want an orgasm. And then if you go and you realize that, you know, 60, 70% of women don't have vaginal orgasms anyhow, why the hang up? Yeah. So focus on being a complete lover, get vibrators, get toys, get gels, get female arousal gel, use your tongue, use your fingers, use whatever it takes to get your partner off and quit fantasizing and emphasizing about how tiny your dick is.
Love it. Use what you got. Use it well.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so much in my head, and staying aroused is a lot of work.
Wow. Take a hit off a bong or an edible and relax. Okay. I mean, that should not be that you're even thinking about staying erect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting.
Issue,
like staying aroused is work. Like I never thought
about that. Yeah. I mean,
I think you're
it
very
sounds
highly
like
overstressed.
It might be some type of ED, you know, if you're not able to stay aroused. So I would say in that case,
maybe it's not so much aroused, it's the hardness.
Yes, exactly. So I would say in that particular case, you would want to see a urologist, because they can do these Doppler things where they take these sonograms to see if all the valves and everything, because one thing's happens, your blood get engorged, your penis gets engorged with blood, and then all the valves shut down to keep it that way. And if it starts backing up, then you'll start getting flaccid. That's actually a condition that exists. So I would say that if you have to start thinking about staying erect, then you probably need to go to a urologist and get that checked out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. I always tell my clients who come to me to always rule out the physical first. Like
always,
if you always just see a doctor, see a urologist, see what they have to say. And, you know, if you know for sure that it's psychological because you ruled out the physical, then work with me, but always, you know,
always check that out first.
Yeah. I want to go more than one round, but my dick doesn't stay hard and I don't know why.
Well, it depends on your age. If you're 18 and that happens, you need to check your testosterone levels. You know what I mean? Because that's where it comes from. If you're 50 or 60, I will tell you from personal experience, get used to it. That's not changing. Okay. I use this analogy. I tell people when I was, 15, 16, 17, 18, and I was in my early sexuality, I was a machine gun, firing bullets all over the place, unlimited supply. And then I got into my 20s. I was an automatic rifle, boom, 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 then 40s, semi-automatic rifle. Then 50s, I was a rifle, one bullet shoot. Now I'm a musket. You got to put the ball down there, put the powder in there. You know what I mean? Like you get one shot a night. You know what I mean? Before I'm ready to have sex again, I got to have breakfast, a workout, a night's sleep. You know what I mean? So depending upon your age, from experience, and I talked to a lot of friends, my age, it is very common. You got one shot. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of men in their 50s and 60s use Promescent, both VitaFLUX and the delay spray and stuff. They're like, I get one shot. I better make sure it's a kill shot. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because it's going to be 24 hours before I'm ready to go again.
Yeah. Is that really what the refractory period is typically like in those ages? Yeah.
Yes. That what
50,
I told
60,
you.
24 hours.
Very, very common. Now, there are times if you're, with someone new, you might be able to go a second round, but certainly there's going to be a good hour in between, or you happen to have a little cannabis buzz and sometimes that helps you go for a second round. But normally, no. It's like the body at that age goes, all right, I've had one, traumatic experience here. I need a little rest before we're ready to roll again.
Yeah. So that's normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
unless you're very young. Yeah.
If you're 18, 20, 25, 30, you better, you
get checked.
You should be able to go multiple times. I remember when I was in college, my senior year, I was 22. I had 6 episodes in a 24-hour period of time. I was proud of myself. I'm like, whoa. I wasn't like I was keeping track, but I was actually keeping track.
But you were keeping track.
Yeah. The 6th one I had to sneak in. It was like 23 hours. I go, I got to get one more for the road. You know what I mean? Just so I figured that might not be able to be at that level again. I wanted to make sure I hit number 6. You know what I mean? Just in case I was never in a position to fire that many times. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, this one was interesting. I'm wondering if you know the answer to this. My dick has shrunk 0.25 inches over the last decade. I'm 37 years old. Is this normal? Any way to stop it? I've had a few guys say with age, they think their dick is shrinking. And I'm unsure if they're just losing weight and muscle, so it looks that way, or
it could
that's
be
actually happening.
Maybe they get a little more brittle, when you get older, you don't have the same flexibility. So they go to measure, they can't reach all the way. Maybe when they have the measuring tape down there, they can't get it all the way back to the bed. I would say if you literally are measuring your dick to that extent, it's not the dick length. You got a mental issue. Okay. If your partner is going, hey, did your dick shrink? Okay. Maybe then you should start measuring it. But if I've never measured my dick, okay, as if it works and my partner seems to be orgasming, I'm like, okay, it seems to function. Okay. I don't need to get all in my head to go, oh my God, I'm 6.37. You know what I mean? Like, so I think everything shrinks as you get older because I used to be 6 feet and I'm 5'11" now. Mm-hmm. And I know I don't have the same level of muscularity. I'm in really good shape for my age, but for my age is the operative word, Mm-hmm. So everything as you get older, but 37, you're still in the prime of your life. You should be at your physical peak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
I think
it
just seems, it seems like he might be just too much in his head and possibly his body is changing in other ways. And it just, okay. After her having our children, I'm worried it's too big. It seems painful versus pleasurable.
Does he think that her vagina shrunk after a kid came through it?
That's what I'm interested in. I'm like, wow,
I have yet to experience a woman that had her vagina shrink after having children. Okay. I
wonder if is there, maybe there's possible pain internally, like from the birth where something was stretched or injured. Like that's probably more for her to get checked.
That's an issue that she needs to go to her gynecologist to find out if there was some kind of fissure or rupture, or maybe something that wasn't properly stitched up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm
no,
thinking. It has to
that's
be
not, he didn't suddenly get a bigger dick after she had kids. Okay. Not that I'm aware of. I have a son. After he was born, I didn't notice, any additional girth or length there. You know what I mean? So just
if that were the case, every guy would be like,
yeah, if that was the case, there'd be 7 billion children born next year. Okay. Every guy would go reverse that vasectomy. I want to have a bunch of kids. Okay.
I'm doing this for my dick.
That's exactly. I don't really want to impregnate you.
I don't want the kids. I want a big dick.
I want to give Johnny Sins a run for his money,
Oh my God. Yeah. I think the key word here too, and I'm just noticing, is the second sentence is, it seems painful versus pleasurable. So like, do you know?
Maybe he needs to work on his technique. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's like technique. Maybe you're not communicating enough with her. So,
and maybe she needs to go to a doctor. But the fact is, why is he writing that to you instead of talking to her?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, back to our point, guys don't communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get random erections throughout the day, except when I really need it.
You need a girlfriend that
sounds like
call.
Anxiety.
Yeah, you need a girlfriend that's on call, that doesn't have a regular job, that she works out of the home. So when you get it, when you don't need it, you go, quick, come on in.
It's here.
Because when I need it, it won't be here. That is absolutely in his head. If you're getting random erections when you don't need them and then you can't, it's in your head. Okay. Mm-hmm. Relax, have a couple beers, smoke a joint, take the the stress level down a bit, and you'll find out. Or maybe pretend like, I'm not going to have sex, so I don't need. There's no way it's happening tonight, even though she's laying there next to you in bed. Then you'll get your unintended erection because you're not thinking that you need it. And then just tell her, as soon as you see it, hop on. Okay. Because I'm not sure how long it'll last. Just be ready to go. Here's a vibrator. Get yourself all ready. And when the unintended erection comes, hop on. But even these questions, think about what we were talking about earlier. How people don't talk about sex. They're all weird about it. They don't. These questions are insane. They're laughable.
Look at this one. I feel like my nut isn't explosive enough. Damn porn expectations.
Is that feed right into it? What, you're not shooting across the room?
Between your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things that I worry about in my life. World hunger, climate change, insurrections in this country. I've never really went, how far does my ejaculate spew out? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
maybe it's
how
just
can it go farther?
I'm just at the age now where most of the women aren't like, hey, could you come on my forehead? You know what I mean? And I want to have some velocity. Okay. I want to be cleaning it out of my hair. You know what I mean? It's like that guy's watching way too much porn.
Yeah. Yeah. That is like not something I feel any guy should think twice about.
Never. Are you having a quality orgasm? Is she? Case closed. Don't worry about the volume and the trajectory of your ejaculate.
Yeah. Yeah. I lose my heart on the moment we get into any non-dick activity, like giving her head or fingering her, etc. So whenever he switches to stop using his dick, he just completely loses his heart on. I mean, if you don't need it, then it shouldn't matter.
I never really felt like a hard on was necessary when I'm going down on someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I would prefer it to be
more flaccid, so that you're not
exactly. So that it's kind of hard if you're on your knees or you're laying there flat, you have this giant heart on, you're trying to go down on someone. You're like, it's kind of uncomfortable. What do I do? Tuck this to the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would prefer it go in remission while you're taking care of business, as long as it springs back when you really need it.
Yeah. Which sounds like, it sounds like it's not a problem when he needs it.
Yeah.
Based on how you said it. Yeah, I think it's just this obsession with like, I always want to be hard. And like, if we're in the moment, I should always be rock hard, and like, it's very normal and natural for a guy to get hard and soft during sexual intercourse, like, during the whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm losing erections too fast because I take citalopram.
Oh, it's depressants. Remember I told you that they make you last longer, but they destroy your libido. Those are antidepressants.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's a side effect. That's an absolute definitive side effect. That's normal.
I've had a bunch of guys reach out to me and say I'm on an antidepressant and it's impacting my sex life in a negative way. Like, what's your go-to response to them?
You may want to use some kind of libido enhancer like horny goat weed, stuff along those lines, because they've been known to enhance libido. Because to be quite honest with you, the antidepressants, that's why I said earlier that's why they really don't use them a lot, even though they're effective with PE, because then you lose your libido. So something like VitaFLUX, remember I told you the nitric oxide?
Yeah, because you can use that with medications because it's an over-the-counter.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that actually would help you maintain an erection. It opens up blood flow. It opens up your veins and arteries. So try some horny goat weed, or try some VitaFLUX, something to kind of counterbalance that loss of libido.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great idea. Here's another question that just seems like it's lacking communication. Am I lasting long enough? Is it satisfying enough?
Wow.
I hear this one a lot. Like,
let me ask you, rather than the person I'm sleeping with. There are a lot of women, and this is a fact that urologists tell me all the time, that their boyfriend complains about, oh my God, I'm not lasting long enough. And the woman's like, no, it's satisfactory sex. But again, it's the porn syndrome. Oh my God, I didn't last 30 minutes. If your partner is climaxing, or if your partner doesn't climax through intercourse and she climaxes better, either through digital or oral, then give her a good orgasm, get your own, and stop worrying about it. Communicate with your partner. Say to her, would you benefit? Would you like me to last longer? If she says no, then why are you concerned about it if she isn't?
Yeah. And even if she does say, like, I would prefer 40 minutes, which is on the longer side, then it's about, all right, don't use your dick the entire time. Like, don't be penetrating the entire time. Like, mix up the experience. Like,
use a little oral sex, use a vibrator, use this. Yeah, exactly.
Just randomly stop, massage your ass, and not everything has to be penetration for 40 minutes. Like, that's not what the majority of women do. Not want that. Trust me. It is not comfortable.
You get to that point, you are literally switching from pleasure to pain. You're not trying to punish someone. You're trying to pleasure them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not about your ego.
It's not about who can last longest. Like, no,
it's about
after 20 minutes, I'm done. Like, I want you off me, because at that point I'm like, this is not even fun anymore.
No, exactly. I've had my orgasm. Okay, Tarzan, roll off. Okay.
Get away.
I bought you a pocket pussy or one of those fleshlights. Okay, here, go impress this machine, Don't laugh. We sell those and people love those things.
Yeah. I was selling one for Lalo, the company. Lalo.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I got so many mixed reviews promoting this.
It's crazy. The reviews on it are either 100% or zero.
Yeah.
No one is in the middle.
People are either like, you sick fuck, or they're like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I know.
There's no in between.
I won't name his name, but there's one of our younger employees who loves those products. And every time we get a new, I got to try this out. I'm like, okay, I have never used one, because at my age, my orgasms aren't infinite. I don't have an infinite number left. You know what I mean? I'm not wasting it fucking a piece of rubber. Okay. I would really like a woman on the other end of the majority of my orgasms. Okay. I'd like to share them with someone else in the room, So we always laugh.
Do you personally never use toys yourself?
On myself?
Yeah. But never been a thing you've done?
I have had partners that go, how does this feel? And they'll like put a vibrator on parts of my body. I'm totally open to it, but I don't really want to use a male masturbatory device, because like I said, I'm very aware that my time on the planet is running limited at this point, especially my time being sexually vibrant and active. And I would really like a partner on the other end of my orgasms, instead of me fucking a rubber sleeve. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm pretty creative, and I'm pretty open, but that's just not my thing. Okay. That just seems to me, but I understand if you're lonely, you're not in a relationship, or you're early on in your sexual awakening and you're in your teens and you want to get more control of the ejaculatory response. But at 65, if I'm fucking a rubber sleeve, somewhere in my experience of relationships and sex, there was a fork in the road. I went down a path that I should have gone
I mean,
down,
if that's what
okay?
you're relying on and you have no other options, then that's not the best.
I guess to me, it would signify that my options were really limited. You know,
They seem really comfy though. I can see them feeling really good.
Well, there's one we have. It's some kind of ion activated thing. And it's like, it lights up and it's got a warming sensation, has this pulsing sensation. I go, what is that? The Starship Enterprise? I'm like, what the, I'm like, maybe I was so afraid if I used it, I'd go, hey, this works. So I don't need a relationship.
Yeah, right. Maybe you're just afraid it will be too good.
Who am I going to take to that Habitat for Humanity fundraiser? I'm the chairman of next week. I can't take my machine. You know what I mean? Like, it would look funny sitting there at the dais next to me,
Oh my God. Yeah, I could totally see it though, because I could see it for guys who are really trying to feel more confident in their ejaculation and their erections. Yes. Because there are so many guys who literally aren't finding real women because they're terrified of how they're going to react physically. And it's like, all right, why don't you practice physically? Why don't you get comfortable practicing?
I'm all for that, to give you more confidence. Because you don't want to be practicing on a woman, and if you don't really have your steps,
and then you have then you have a bad experience again, and then it's worse, and then
just feeds into the anxiety.
It feeds the anxiety, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a time and a place, but yeah, we don't want to rely on those for.
No.
Either.
No. Plus, as traumatized as my son was when he saw my Sybian machine, can you imagine if he comes to my house and he sees a rubber sleeve that I'm be like, oh,
you should just have like a dungeon.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
It'd be like, Dad, okay, now I really need therapy. Okay.
Oh my God. Okay, let's do one more question. Oh wait, this one's very interesting to me. I feel so grossed out by cum. It comes out of the pee hole. It takes enjoyment out of finishing.
Is that a guy?
Yeah. I've had a few guys say that like women's cum, like they don't want to get it in their mouth and they don't want their cum, God forbid their cum gets in their mouth. Like it's really interesting.
If a guy has never come into contact with his own ejaculate, he's probably not the best lover that ever existed. You know what I mean? Especially when you're younger and you go 2, 3, 4 times in an evening, you can't give your partner the impression that your cum is toxic. Okay. Because you're shooting it into her mouth and her vagina. So what are you saying? If I think that comes across as extremely homophobic. Okay. It's coming out of your own body. So obviously it was in your own body. Now I'm not someone who goes, oh, gee, I enjoy the taste of cum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not someone's going to go, oh,
you're not like trying to drink it.
Yeah. I want to see if I can have a yoga pose where I can blow myself. You know what I mean? It's not like, that's not what I'm advocating, but to go, oh my God, it's gross. It's disgusting. You know what I mean? Oh my God. The thought of it even coming out is like pathetic. Hello. You're asking someone else to be on the receiving end of that. I mean, in probably the 2 most important orifices in her body, her vagina and her mouth. Okay. So what kind of message are you sending if you're basically pretending it's toxic?
I wonder if he's talking about like cum in general, or if he's talking about his or hers, maybe that's just a fear, like an anxiety, a psychological fear of
that's
what you were
irrational fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that I encountered a female ejaculate, it blew me away. It literally blew me away. I swear to God. I was like, what was that? It was like this rush of fluid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it literally, because this was 30 years ago, I was like 35 years old. And there wasn't as much known about as a woman squirting. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I was like, what was that? Like, oh my God, was that
pee? Did you think
urine?
It was pee?
You know what I mean? And I was like, no, it's not urine.
How did she react to that? Was she embarrassed? Because I know a lot of women are embarrassed, but they're starting to open up more.
It's the first time that she had ever squirted.
Oh.
She was embarrassed at first, but then I think she took her cue from me when I was like, that was freaking awesome. You know what I mean? She was like, really? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I was like, I didn't know women actually. She goes, I didn't either. We were really
I feel like
hot.
that's most women the first time some guy does it to her and she's like, what? I could do that.
We had done a lot of THC that was in grapeseed oil. So we were really high. And I think that really relaxed her, you know, and we'd had a pretty extended vibrator session. And she was really turned on. I think that's that combination of the extended sex,
The turned on and the relaxation.
the turned on and relaxation at the same time.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my God. I was like, that was a new one for me. I have yet to, but at first I was like, what is that? You know what I mean? It was like,
is that me?
yeah. First thought was, did she just pee on me?
Is she into that?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I think that
give me a warning. The golden showers are coming, you know?
At least warn me of your fetishes first.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like a lot of guys don't realize that to make a woman squirt, she has to be extremely relaxed. It's kind of like anal sex too. Like she has to be relaxed in order for the body to even allow it to happen. You need to be
if you're tense, there's no way you're going to have even a regular orgasm. The more relaxed you are, the better it's going to be.
Yeah. The deeper you breathe, the slower you breathe, like the better the intensity of the feeling. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There are a lot of comments about curved penises and saying like, I'm insecure because it's curved. Is it a problem that it's curved? I always wonder what she's thinking because it's curved. I hate that it's curved. There were just a lot of comments on that.
There's a lot of medical research been done on that recently. It's called Peyronie's disease. You've seen the commercials, haven't you?
Yeah. I know there are some guys who actually knew they had Peyronie's disease and they were like,
it's fairly common. One of our doctors is on our advisory board. He's our chief medical officer. Dr. Larry Levine is the #1 expert on Peyronie's on the planet.
Oh, wow.
And so he pioneered that VitaFLUX, which is the treatment they use for it. Now, guys are so insecure about the size, the shape, the appearance of the penis. About 20% of men have some form of curvature of the penis. If it's not making sex painful or inhibiting you from having sex, it's no issue. The penis is a functional appendage. It's not, it's not like the Westminster Dog Show where they have you paraded around, they hold up a little 9.2, you know what I mean? Oh, well, if it works and you can achieve climax and you can get your partner off, quit obsessing, about might have a little curvature. If it's severe, it's causing pain or making it impossible to have intercourse, then certainly there are options like VitaFLUX that you can utilize right now. But that's the important part. It has to inhibit you sexually before seeking treatment. Mm-hmm. And the majority of times it doesn't.
Yeah, it's just there. It is
it's
what
just
it is.
there. Yeah. A lot of times, it has no effect whatsoever. But again, typical guy thing. Oh my God, it's not perfectly straight. Does it work? Yes. Then don't worry about it.
Yeah. Simple enough. Yeah. And if it's not working, go get checked and go get treated. It's really, working, it's so simple.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I have one more that this is gonna
fire away.
I have a ton more, but okay. Is it okay for a natural (parentheses no medication) erection to last 30 minutes to an hour after sex?
Everybody's body's different, and that doesn't fall into the norm whatsoever. Normally, when you achieve climax, then the body's muscles relax and those valves that keep the penis erect then retract and allow the refractory period where a man, either you're so turned on by your partner or you're just one in a million men. I've never, ever had anyone tell me that they stay erect for that period of time after ejaculation.
Yeah, I never heard that.
But if it's not bothersome, if it's not inhibiting you from enjoying or your partner from enjoying, I don't know how it would, if it becomes painful, that, oh my God, I can't put a pair of pants on, I got this giant erection, then obviously you might want to go see a urologist. But most men directly after having sex aren't going to a business meeting with a pair of dress pants on, so.
You got
No,
30 minutes to chill out.
You generally have 30 minutes to take a shower, chill out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've never had anyone have a little room off the side of the boardroom and go, I'm going to get this on right now and then put my suit on and go in there and give a presentation. What do you have, the pointer in your pants? What is that down there? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah. So, I guess like, yeah, if it's bothering you, if there's any pain associated, like get it. It doesn't hurt to get checked. I think a lot of guys just don't ever get checked. And it's like, just
go to the doctor.
Go
and get
go
checked.
to the doctor. Why do guys always
theme,
avoid the doctor?
Yeah. There's one theme in these questions. It's like, talk to your partner. Actually, two themes. Talk
Go to the doctor.
Go to the doctor. Okay. Yeah. These are serious issues you're bringing up. Go to the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. These are awesome. Like I said, I literally have 100 questions that were submitted.
If you have any more you want to ask, fire away. I'm enjoying this.
Where's the one I saw? Oh, can you injure your dick from a cock ring that's too tight? I know there's a certain length of time. I think it's like 20 minutes or something that a cock ring.
20 minutes. You generally would know it would be so painful that you would take it off.
Within the 20 minutes or like post, like after 20 minutes even?
You generally, once you're done having sex, take the cock ring off. Once you're done having sex, it serves no purpose except to constrict, blood flow. But to really harm yourself, the pain would be so immense that you would probably take it off. So I would say use it during sex. Don't use it too far prior to sex. And certainly when you're done having sex, take it off. They're not meant to be worn around to keep a flaccid penis erect by trapping the blood flow. They're meant for a specific reason to keep it more erect during sex. But if you're having sex for 40 minutes, I would say don't use a cock ring for 40 minutes. That's not what it's intended for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Here's another question. Can it be too straight?
Oh my God, your penis?
Yeah.
We have some people who are concerned it's crooked. We have some people who go, it's too straight.
It's too crooked. It's too straight. It's too hard.
Yeah.
It's too soft.
Oh
man.
I wouldn't think. I think optimally you'd want it to be straight.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Too straight, he'd want a slight curve.
I think some guys do wonder about that. Like they're like, oh, I want it to curve a little to like hit her G-spot perfectly. And it curves this way. So that means at least it's the good curve. Like guys are just there's such an obsession over.
Yeah. But do anyone really think that the curvature of your penis, once it's erect, is really going to affect the G-spot? First of all,
no, they think that. Guys think that.
No, I know. But find it, use your finger to stimulate it, use a vibrator to stimulate it, use your penis to stimulate it. Just make sure you reach it and stimulate it. But it's
also not like a little spot. Like the G-spot's a whole area. It's not.
I was going to say my experience.
It's not. There's no target.
There's no target. There's not like little red and white rings that you have a bullseye that you're trying to hit. It's a general area, and you'll know when you're there. There's a definitive physical response for most females when you are in the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It absolutely is. And I always tell men, because, all women are different. Bodies are different. But the best way to find it is first with your finger. Determine where it's at. And obviously put your finger inside someone's vagina, then put your tip of your index or your middle finger back towards yourself and go right in the middle and start feeling around.
It feels different. It feels there's a different. Complete different feeling.
If I can describe it, it's almost a scaly area instead of being smooth. It's like a fibrous area. There's a definitive feel to it. It's almost like, I hate to say this, but I don't want to but it's kind of like the rest of the area is smooth, and it's kind of like almost like scaly. It's like has a little more texture, a little more fiber to it.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah. That's probably the best. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can tell because you can feel her pulse quicken. You can feel her body movements. When you really reach that area, you can tell there's a heightened sensitivity from the female part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How can I improve, once again, how can I improve the pressure of ejaculation? What's with the pressure? Does it feel better when you ejaculate like harder and faster, like based on the pressure of it? Like, does that bring any sensation, or is it more just ego?
For me, it's more of a sensation of the intensity of the orgasm than the ejaculation. If the orgasm is intense, the ejaculation is intense. I don't look at those as two separate events, you know, and
some guys do. There's a lot of guys really trying to have orgasms without ejaculation.
Yeah, that's been a big thing for a while now.
Yeah.
An orgasm without an ejaculation. I've never personally achieved that.
Yeah, that is.
But I would say that certainly the intensity of anything feels better. You know, I mean, if it's a more intense ejaculation, I'm sure the pleasure is better. If it's a more intense orgasm, the pleasure is better. Again, something that enhanced your libido, whether it be VitaFLUX or horny goat weed or something like that, might give a higher intensity orgasm or ejaculation. Anytime you increase blood pressure, you're going to have a more intense orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say if your orgasms or your ejaculations are lacking, that's what I would suggest trying that.
Maybe, do you think it's ever a matter for some guys, probably not all, but like a matter of how much foreplay is involved in order to get that heightened orgasm? I feel like a lot of men don't think like that.
They don't think like that, but for me, I do, because I do know that the longer the buildup, then the better the climax. So if I have extended foreplay, I generally have more powerful orgasms because it's been building for a longer period of time, as opposed to wham, bang. It's like you're not even completely built up, and then it's like, boom, it's gone. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, and again, this is one man speaking, but I've talked to a couple other people that say they experience the same thing. The longer the buildup, the stronger the climax.
Yeah, which is why foreplay is so important. So don't forget it.
I think a lot of guys don't really consider it, but I just think it's important for your partner and yourself to extend that period of excitement, to extend that period of exhilaration, to extend that pleasure zone. Why have it 5 minutes if you can have it 25 or 30 minutes? There's too much focus on the orgasm and not enough focus on the pleasure, the building, the anticipation, the tease, so to speak.
And that the pleasure is in all of those things. You know, I think a lot of people just like, oh, the orgasm is where we feel the pleasure. No, it starts when you start flirting. Like, that's where the pleasure comes in. There's psychological pleasure, there's emotional pleasure, there's physical, there's sexual, it's all
of
it is there.
I'm really big on scent. The first time with someone, if even their natural body scent, you can never, I always tell this to people, if someone, secondarily to curing cancer, if someone, that would be the biggest achievement you could ever have, but secondarily to that, if people could figure out why you're so attracted to certain people and you cannot turn it off. And do you ever do this where someone describes someone to you? Oh, would this be your type? Oh, absolutely not. Then you meet, you're like, oh my God, that's my type. Okay.
Yeah.
You meet him. And then the first time you kiss them, the first time you touch them, you're just like, oh my God, there's some kind of fucking magnetism there. Then there's other times where you meet someone and they have the perfect resume. They're respectable, they're fit, they're attractive, they're intelligent.
And you don't feel anything.
And then everyone's like, oh my God, she's perfect for you, whatever. And then you meet, first time you hold her hand, the first time you kiss her, you're like, it's like fucking kissing my sister. And then my friends are going to be, what's wrong with you? She's a doctor. She's successful. I go, she's also like, has no attraction. What? You'll learn to like her. I go, no, you never learn to like someone. It's either there
There
or
has
it's
to be
not.
chemistry there.
Has to be chemistry. And I'll tell you, there's so many times in my life I go, why can't I like her? She's good for me. And then I go, why do I like her? She's fucking poison. Okay. It's like, I know that shit is gonna, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna end badly. She is like an emotional train wreck, but there's some kind of chemistry that you just can't get away from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, I know it. The first time I hold someone's hand, the first time I kiss someone, I know right away. I can tell you without fail whether or not I'm compatible with that person. Without fail, it never fails. It is just there or it isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I was in the same boat of like dating a couple guys who I was like, oh, they're perfect, like on paper, but like, let me just keep making out with them and see what happens. And every time I kissed them, I just hated it. Like inside, I was like, ah.
And
like,
you're like, you're trying to make it better. You're like, yeah. And you're like, what the fuck? And then there are other people you go, I don't think this has much. And then you go, what was that?
What was
you know
that?
what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, whoa. And
crazy.
You literally go, why can't I feel like that with her? Okay. That would be so much better for me. She's appropriate, intelligent, and all my friends would be impressed. I bring this one around. My friends are like, oh my God, like,
oh man. Some things you just can't explain.
You can't. And I tell people, if you could control that, if you could give someone the ability to be attracted or not be attracted, you'd be the richest person ever. And
I feel like there's so many guys like that who are like guilty. Like I have a couple clients like that right now who are in the dating process again. And they're like, I feel so guilty for like not wanting to be with this woman. Like, she's into me. And like, why am I not into her? What the fuck is wrong with me? And they get really like frustrated with themselves.
Yeah, you can't. You don't control that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just know or you don't. Like that chemistry is the most powerful thing above anything else.
For me, chemistry never develops longer into relationship. It's either there or it's not. I've never had a relationship where, I've had a couple that it wasn't there and I tried to, go, maybe it'll develop. Never. I'll never go there again. If it's not there in the beginning, no way.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a powerful lesson for all the guys listening. Like if there is no chemistry at the start, forget it. Like
end it right there. You're wasting your time and hers. Okay.
Not ever going to come.
Never. That's exactly.
Literally. And also don't get tied to, just the fact, I think there's a lot of people who also are so obsessed with the honeymoon phase. And then they think, they had a great first 2 months and then after it goes downhill and they can't ever get it back. You got to acknowledge that was just the honeymoon. Like even if it's the first year of the relationship and then the next 5 years are shit, that was just the honeymoon. That
doesn't mean you can't get it back. The newness wore off. And when you became who you were and your ambassador left the room and she became who she was and her ambassador left the room.
That's the real her.
Fucking compatible. That was real life. That's why I tell people, so many people when they first start dating, oh my God, we're flying to the weekend to Tahoe. Then we're going here. Then we're doing this. Then we're going to go see U2. Then we're going to go see Dua Lipa. Then we're going to do this. And they're like, this is the best relationship. I go, you guys haven't fucking lived yet. Okay. When you're constantly on vacation, we're not on the fucking Bachelor. Okay. Here's what you do if you want to find out really for the next week, lay around in your underwear, watching sports. Okay. And then go shopping at Costco together, and
Home Depot.
Home Depot, go get some fucking mulch for your yard. You know what I mean? At the end of the week, if you guys are still passionate, you go, you got to keep her. Okay.
Yeah.
But when all you do is play fantasy suite and then you go, oh my God, this is a great relationship. You haven't had a relationship yet.
Yeah.
Real life is not about being on vacation.
Yeah.
Real life is about, and that's when I tell people, I know I'm in a good relationship if we're doing regular things and I really enjoy being around her. There are times
and how to handle the conflict. You can both handle whatever conflict.
How many times have you seen this? Oh my God, we've been dating 2 years. It's perfect. We've never had a fight. I go, well, you really haven't started living yet. What do you mean? The first time you have a disagreement or a fight, so many people break up because they cannot resolve conflict. They can't meet in the middle. Mm-hmm. The best relationships are when you have conflict and you value that person. You listen to them, they listen to you, and you move 35% towards them, they move 65% towards you. The next time you move, vice versa. That's when you know you have a relationship. Mm-hmm. You can mitigate hard feelings. You can negotiate. You can get rid of conflict. I know people that date 2-3 years. I know people that got married. We've never had a fight. The first fight, they break up. They're bitter. They're angry. They can't resolve anything. Resolving conflict is probably the biggest thing towards having a successful relationship.
It is. You know, John Gottman, like the biggest marriage researcher in the world. He said that. He said the longevity of relationships is determined by how the couple navigates through conflict and how quickly they get out of it.
Every couple will have conflict. If you're living, it's inevitable. How you get through it. To me, in my really good long-term relationships, if I really care for someone, we will navigate through any conflict. We will. It doesn't matter who gives 50 one time, 70 one time, 30. If that person means enough to you, you will meet in the middle somewhere. A lot of times it's 50-50. Sometimes I'll acquiesce 100%. Okay, I'll go to the fucking opera, okay? I hate that shit. If it means that much to you, I will go. But I got news for you. You're going to me the fucking Golden Knights hockey game next week, okay? Okay? I'm doing
sounds like a fun compromise.
Yeah, I'll do some shit I don't want to do, but you're going to do some shit you don't want to do too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
No one ever wants to feel like I'm the one who gives in every time, you know?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's been almost 3 hours. Wait, has it been? Yes. Almost 3 hours that we've been.
Oh my God. You're right.
This is the longest podcast I've ever done, but it was so well worth it. I love your energy. I didn't feel
like it was a podcast. I felt it was like you and I just having fun, joking around.
I know. I'm going to have to go back and edit this and see what the hell we were saying.
Yeah.
I wonder what secrets I told on here that maybe I want to cut out.
No, we will get together when I come back there for sure. This is a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. This is great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, for doing what you do, for the product, for the just, keeping up with this awesome brand. And
I'm passionate about this. We are a necessity, not only our products, but what we bring to the table dialogue wise. It's important.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, it is. So thank you for showcasing that and sharing with me.
I applaud people like you. You have a necessary voice. Men need someone like you to talk to them, to tell them, to educate them. I always tell people, I did a Sirius XM radio broadcast and I met Dr. Ruth in the green room.
Oh, cool.
She's like 4'6", I swear to God.
Oh my God.
She's literally the shortest person I've ever met in my entire life. And she's wonderful. She's sweet. She's still really with it mentally. This was 6 years ago, and I'm sure she's still pretty smart. But I just, as a guy, when she talks about sex, it creeps me out. Okay. It's like, somebody like you or something like Emily, they talk about sex. I listen. I go, that's a desirable female. You know what I mean? I want to hear what you have to say. Dr. Ruth, I'm like, oh God, she's 100 years old and 4'6". Okay. When she says penis, I literally, I can't get an erection for a week after that. I go home and I start watching porn just to reset my libido. I'm like, oh, pleasure be woman.
Shout out to Dr. Ruth. We love you.
Yeah, that's the same effect that I have when my son hears me wax poetic about sex. He's like, oh my God, that's my dad. I feel like Dr. Ruth is my mom. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to even think about you having sex. Okay, seriously.
That's so funny. That's such a good point.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Jeff. We'll definitely,
my pleasure.
We'll definitely get together in New York and yeah,
End of
thanks
August,
again.
beginning of September.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds awesome.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you so much for coming on.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope this episode helped you. If it did, I would love for you to leave me an iTunes review. It would mean the world to me. You can also screenshot your favorite episodes and tag me on Instagram @StephKanowski. And before I go, remember, your sex life is as good as you make it out to be. Until next time.